Performance deserved, Worthington's corner, and Peter Shirtliff. Ipswich 0, Sheffield Wednesday 2.
The early signs at Oakwell weren't promising for Barnsley. Brighton exerting pressure, and only the body of Joe Joyce kept out Codner's shot. It was a bright start from the South Coast side, but Clive Baker looked to be in commanding form. And watch now for a save that even at the end of this season will rank as one of the best, I'm sure. There was nothing, though, Baker could do about Brighton's first goal a minute before the break, struck by Gary Nelson, who missed most of last season through injury. But what a transformation to come in the second half. Banks' cross and a superbly timed header from Steve Cooper. Mel Machin's pep talk had obviously worked, and Mark Smith had obviously been watching. Goalkeeper Digweed must have wondered where the next missile was coming from. There were no more. It ended Barnsley 2, Brighton 1.
Hull went to goal down in 20 minutes. Peter Swan's header only helping Draper's corner onto Charlie Palmer, playing against his old club. It's 6 years since Notts County were last in Division 2. It looked as though they'd never been away. Only Ian Hesford's bravery stopped Gary Lund adding to the lead. Hull's equaliser had an element of luck about it. See who you think gets the final touch here, Andy Payton or County's Tommy Johnson. Watch Johnson's reaction. Payton gets the credit anyway. From this free kick, Lund's header. And again, watch the reactions of number 11 Johnson, a very relieved man. Hull didn't have many chances, and Swan's shot here was that of a man without the confidence to go a stride further. Midway through the second half, one of Hull's two signings from Blackburn, David Mayle, gives away a penalty on his debut. Ian Hesford is equal to Johnson's shot. Hesford earns the applause, but it wasn't Hull's day. Hull 1, Notts County 2. Only 3 teams in Division 2 from our region this season. Wednesday have arrived, Leeds, Sheffield and Bradford have departed. Only Hull failed to manage a winning start.
In the third division, relegated Bradford couldn't have had a sterner opening than the one against Tranmere, who won an early penalty. Tinian bowling over John Morrissey. And don't forget, Tranmere could have been a division higher. Ian Muir, 34 goals last season, got his first of this campaign. But Bradford's problems last season was in not scoring enough goals. The remedy obviously hasn't been found yet. Neither Leonard nor McCarthy could force that one past Eric Nixon. The former Manchester City goalkeeper in excellent form on the first day, at least at this stage of the game. And his next stop, a flying effort to deny Duxbury. He was a shade fortunate the next time, however, McCarthy heading against the outside of an upright. But his luck eventually ran out. He's certainly not faultless in the run-up to the goal. Nixon palming the ball down and McCarthy pouncing for his first goal in Bradford City colours. And it should have been 2-1 to Bradford when they were awarded a penalty in mysterious circumstances. Leonard's shot kept out off the line, but referee Neil Midgley said that there was a handball by Mungall in there. Nixon saves McCarthy's effort though, and the scores remain level. McCarthy later to be sent off, but now look for a really quality winning goal from Muir. He only signed a contract this week. Tranmere will be delighted. They won 2-1.
Huddersfield have 2 new strikers. Keith Edwards was on the bench. Iwan Roberts played, and his shot, deflected by Southend's Cornwall, should have brought the first goal of the season for Mark Smith. Credit to Sampson for getting back. Smith paid the penalty for a weak shot. He made amends though. His cross, Robert Wilson's header, and Huddersfield had the lead they deserved 8 minutes from the break. The turning point of the match came with seconds of the first half remaining. Butler plays a fine 1-2. Wilson missed it. Angel didn't. And Southend came out for the second half with their confidence restored. Their winner came with 20 minutes left. Roberts tackled just too late to stop Andy Edwards, and Hardwick failed to hold it. The other Edwards, Keith, who was on loan at Leeds Road last season, you'll remember, could have saved the match, but Andy Edwards and his goalkeeper made sure Southend won their first game in Division 3, 2-1. Elsewhere, Grimsby's on-loan striker from Bradford, Neil Wood, scored in their 3-1 win at Preston. Charles and Stringfellow scored for Mansfield at Wigan. Rotherham lost at Stoke.
Chesterfield got to Wembley last season for the promotion playoffs, but they looked more like a relegation side in the first half against Hartlepool. Clanger #1 after 8 minutes. Toppling shot going in under the diving Leonard. And Clanger #2 came on half an hour. The cross looked harmless, but Tony Bryan completely missed the kick, and Paul Baker was in for a simple second. Paul Hart had a right to look rather glum. Well, if you thought the second goal was bad, the third was grotesque. The back pass wasn't good, Leonard's reactions were slow, and even if Dalton couldn't get the ball in, Fletcher could. Surely life had to get better for Chesterfield, and it did, courtesy of Hartlepool defender Ian Bennyworth, who literally handed Chesterfield a penalty. Bryn Gunn had no problem pulling the trigger. 6 minutes on and Chesterfield were right back in it, and it's a real do-it-yourself goal from Andy Morris. The loping striker just kept on going and eventually found the corner of the net, but there was to be no storybook finish. It ended Chesterfield 2, Hartlepool 3.
A much better day for Scunthorpe at home to relegated Blackpool, but it could have been a different story if David Lancaster had punished Peter Litchfield for flapping at Sinclair's shot. 18 minutes, the first goal from Paul Longdon's free kick. McElhargy, unfortunately for him, tipping Andy Flounder's shot under the bar. Flounders finished last season with 8 goals in 6 games, and he's obviously been straining at the leash all summer. Mark Lillis looked sharp yesterday too, he's setting up Ian Hamilton. 3,000 watching us at Lanford Park. Awful confusion in the Blackpool defence here, striker Lancaster not helping at all. And McElhargy eventually grateful to get in the way of Stuart Hicks's shot. Flounders almost had a second goal from Lillis's cross. If they stay fit, watch out for Scunthorpe. Here's Lillis again. Would the second goal never go in? It did with a minute left. And Ian Hamilton showed exactly the kind of confidence that 1 or 2 strikers in higher divisions were lacking yesterday. Thoroughly satisfactory start for Mick Buxton's men. Scunthorpe 2, Blackpool 0.
Doncaster were winners too at Carlisle. Halifax, so impressive in pre-season, drew with Stockport, and Lincoln will be happy with a draw at Burnley. But York disappointingly lost at home to Maidstone.
And still the football keeps on coming on YTV. Next note for the diary, Tuesday evening, 11:35, and it could be very special. It hasn't been Simon Tracy's weekend, but with the season 1 day old, we've already been reminded why football causes such emotions. See you on Tuesday.
Baker had no chance. It came to big centre forward who can do no wrong at the moment. It's his 5th goal of the season, and it looks as though it might win the points here for the league leaders. Oldham have had a succession of corners. Redfern swung it in, and Marshall, from no more than 5 yards out, tucked it past Baker's right hand.
They fell behind after just 6 minutes. Danish international Lars Elstrup floats over the cross. Kingsley Black puts away a smart header at the far post. Question marks about the marking, though. The virus in the Leeds camp had certainly spread to the defence, caught hopelessly square here, and when Kerry Hughes rolls the ball invitingly into his path, Ian Dowie should have done better. Spurred on by some 900 fans who weren't supposed to be there, Leeds did put their act together. Gary McAllister almost too precise here. Mike Whitlow's drive from the edge of the box deflected to safety. It was the same story in the second half. Chances created, none taken. Vinnie Jones with the final pass, but Lee Chapman denied by Alec Chamberlain's legs. At the other end, more alarming evidence of defensive frailty. From the short corner, Breaker threads the ball through, and as Priest bears down on goal, Lukic does well to close down the angle. Luton 1, Leeds 0.
Sheffield United were without Paul Stancliffe and Tony Garner for Manchester City's visit to Bramwell Lane. Howard Kendall's side has made a promising start, and 2 of the more recent signings, Mark Ward and Adrian Heath, plotted the way for the opening goal. Tucked away by David White. United's response was swift. Colin Hill's free kick, and Paul Beasley gets the better of the defence out on the touchline. First Peter Reid, then Ian Brightwell. And from his cross, that soaring giant Brian Deane got the better of everyone to head his third goal in 4 games. It was City, though, who came closest to winning maximum points. Adrian Heath in a good position, just inside the box. The shot smacks off the upright. Sheffield United 1, Manchester City 1. Only a point then between our 2 First Division clubs, Sheffield United in particular finding it a tough introduction to life at a more rarefied height. Leeds' first defeat drops them to 6th, and it's a sobering thought for the rest that Liverpool, sometimes slow starters, have moved ominously clear. Palace, Spurs and Arsenal are also unbeaten. Sheffield look down on just 2 clubs, Derby and Everton the only others without a victory to their names. Everton got their first point at home to Arsenal.
The game at Selhurst Park was a First Division fixture last season, and the way Wednesday and Charlton performed yesterday, it could well be again next year. 7 minutes into the second half, and John Sheridan reminds us that he's not averse to a bit of long-range shooting. If it's spectacular goals you want, Wednesday are a team well worth watching. Another cleverly worked move coming up now. Worthington helps it on, Carlton Palmer with a lovely bit of composure, and Paul Williams with the header. How he would have loved that one to go in against his old teammates. They didn't have it all their own way, and every team needs a bit of luck. Colin Walsh with the sweetest of free kicks. Pressman left helpless, but no goal. Referee Singh perfectly positioned. Charlton 0, Wednesday 1.
It's been a shaky start to the season for Hull City, and their defence was turned inside out when Swindon took the lead at Boothbury Park. Bowden and Jones made the running, and that late World Cup inclusion Alan McLaughlin did an Irish jig to fashion a quality goal. Hull's equaliser came just 60 seconds later. Mayall's free kick, and the goal not quite so pretty, but it counts just the same. Defenders Calderwood and Gittins said yours. Neil Buckley said thanks to both of them with his first ever goal on his home ground. Hull could have won it too. Lee Palin's free kick saw Peter Swan time his run perfectly. The header executed almost as sweetly. Swindon's reply was led by Jones, then Gittins and Shearer. When Simpson's cross came in, Calderwood unable to atone for his earlier error. The last chance fell to Hull. Again Swan was involved. This time Palin's header flew over the top. At least Hull are on the mark with their first point. Hull 1, Swindon 1. So across the board, 1 win, 1 draw, 1 defeat. Wednesday responding to the target set by Ron Atkinson. For Barnsley and Hull, they aim to move up. Sheffield Wednesday's 100% record isn't good enough to keep them top. Oldham have played a game more and therefore have 3 more points. Millwall, the only other side with 3 win bonuses. Hull's draw lifts them above Charlton. The London club have even predicted another struggle for themselves. They look like being right. Barnsley average a point a game.
It's been Huddersfield's worst ever start to the new season, but they didn't take long to put that right against Bolton. Just 55 seconds on the clock, and record signing Ewan Roberts pokes a decisive toe to open his Leeds Road account. Bolton have already beaten the Terriers twice in the Rumbelows Cup this season, but they never look like making it a hat-trick. An attack breaks down, and Ife Anora, so often cast as super sub, streaks away. Watch him again as he picks up the return pass from Mark Smith. 3 defenders drawn to him, and there's Keith Edwards doing what he knows best. A bit special this one, the 250th league goal of his career. 2-0 after 16 minutes, but Bolton refused to lie down. Stuart Storer takes aim, and an excellent piece of goalkeeping from Steve Hardwick. Well, the problems really piled up for the visitors 9 minutes before half-time. Julian Darby poleaxes Simon Trevitt. When you've been booked a few minutes earlier, not the wisest thing to do. The rest is inevitable. A consoling pat from Peter Jackson, signed from Bradford in midweek. Anora was in the thick of it again in the second half, this time releasing Kieran O'Regan. Enter Keith Edwards again, now warming to his task with a classy bit of finishing. That £25,000 fee Owen Hand paid Stockport for his services, already looking money well spent. And he wasn't finished yet. If you're going to pass a landmark, do it in style. Anora again the provider, and Edwards completing his hat-trick and sealing Town's first win of the season. Huddersfield 4, Bolton 0. Bradford City made it a winning double for West Yorkshire, and Grimsby won, where they'd lost in midweek, at Crewe. Rotherham and Mansfield suffered away defeats at Bury and Leyton Orient. Promoted Grimsby couldn't have asked for a better start. They head the division on goal difference from Birmingham, and successive victories have lifted Bradford into the top half of the table, where Huddersfield now appear for the first time. Mansfield are in a cluster of clubs on 3 points. The biggest disappointment is the form of Rotherham, promotion contenders last season, not out of the starting blocks yet.
At the Shea, Doncaster Rovers were looking to extend their bright start, and it turned out to be happy hour. In the 60th minute, David Jones scoring what turned out to be the only goal of the game. Rovers fans didn't have much to cheer last season, but they were on their feet again minutes later. Styles' corner cleared, but when it came back to him via Noteman, he supplied a teasing cross, headed firmly but unsuccessfully against the bar by Muir. Another Styles corner posed the next problem, Jones this time off the mark. But Halifax did come strongly in the closing stages. First Butler sent over a cross, flicked on by Tommy Graham. And when Paul Fleming crossed, there was a hectic scramble before Butler sliced the shot wide. Next, a good link-up between Richardson and Fleming. Still it wouldn't go in, and a fine diving save from Crichton. But Halifax kept going to the end. Again, Fleming and Richardson combine. And this time Richardson foiled by Crichton, who made sure of Doncaster's best start to a league season since 1946. Halifax 0, Doncaster 1. The regions are the winners, Chesterfield. Their success by a similar margin over Hereford broke their duck. Scunthorpe could only draw at Glanford Park. Scarborough went down to 2 goals in 23 minutes at Burnley. Sweet reading for Doncaster. Only they and Northampton have full marks. Scunthorpe the next best placed of our clubs. Lincoln's position false, perhaps because they've played only twice. So have York, so don't read too much into their position at the bottom. Chesterfield will be relieved to have moved away from there. Halifax disappointed their pre-season form hasn't been sustained.
Well, next week our action-packed start to the new season continues with another soccer special. Saturday 11:15 is the date for your diary, highlights of one of the day's top games. But we'll leave you with Keith Edwards, the man who just can't stop scoring. Till next week, goodbye.
Squad to face Poland. He was too quick for David Batty, but off target. Wonder if he'll get his chance on Wednesday week, perhaps as a substitute. They say you get punished for missing chances in football. Leeds paid the ultimate penalty after 54 minutes. White and then Fairclough failed to connect properly, and Leeds got a devastating example of Wright's pace. He and Haddock tussle for it, and with Stirland on the far side playing Palace onside, Haddock's left for dead, as Wright sends his captain Jeff Thomas in for the opening goal. The gap between the missed chance at one end and the goal at the other, 13 seconds. But Leeds were level within 5 minutes. Strachan's corner, and no one followed Gary Speed, his first goal since the opening day of the season. Palace 1, Leeds 1.
Old Boys reunion day at Bramall Lane. Vinnie and Dave Bassett reacquainting themselves with old friends from Wimbledon. And enjoying the early handshakes, Jones's throw led to the opening goal. The first for the club from full-back David Barnes. Sweetly struck too. Barnes' first goal that for more than 2 years. Wimbledon's reputation as fighters has not been one without good reason though, and they were soon hitting back. Darius Kruzinski's shot against the crossbar. And unusual for Carlton Fairweather to find room for an overhead kick inside the penalty area. The ball somehow eluding Phil Kite. 1-1, but the next incident, the most unsavoury of a highly committed game, as you might have expected. Wimbledon's move apparently going nowhere. Then when Vinnie Jones came in for some rough treatment from John Gale, referee Lunt felt the only option was a red card for the Wimbledon man. The replay shows why. Gale going in far too high. It's the sort of tackle that makes Wimbledon unpopular. Well, the one man who's been able to find the net consistently for United this season has been Brian Deane. but the big man's luck was out with this effort. He usually puts those away, but he couldn't succeed this time with either bite. And Wimbledon rubbed salt into the wounds with the winning goal. John Fashanu had only started the day on the subs bench, but he was on long enough to celebrate getting the winner. I suspect Phil Kite again disappointed to be beaten from that distance. Sheffield United 1, Wimbledon 2. Liverpool's storming start reflected in the table. They're 6 points clear of Arsenal. Leeds holding on nicely to 8th spot, though they've only got half as many points as the leaders. When you look at the bottom, Derby beaten by Liverpool yesterday are 22 points adrift already. Sheffield United's lack of a victory so far keeps them next to bottom.
In Division 2, Sheffield Wednesday played the better football at Twerton Park. Sheridan there, setting up Danny Wilson, Roland Nielsen joining the move. And Carlton Palmer, a little unlucky, just off target. But Wednesday had to absorb plenty of pressure from the team now managed by Trevor Francis's namesake and former roommate on England duty, Jerry Francis. David Mayhew here, foiled by Kevin Pressman, whom Ron Atkinson reckons could be England class himself. The move that brought Wednesday's goal was set up by Nigel Worthington. Carlton Palmer covering acres of ground, and under pressure from Phil King, Ian Alexander only invites Trevor Francis to do what he's done many times before. In for the injured David Hurst, his first goal for Wednesday. Bristol staged a dangerous-looking recovery before half-time. Vaughan Jones's shot from the free kick kept out only by the head of Phil King. This, incidentally, in front of only 6,500 on a ground where fire burnt down the main stand last month. Rovers thought they got an equaliser near the end. Substitute Purnell setting up Jones's cross. But although Mayhew had the ball in the net, the referee had already blown for what he saw as a foul on the goalkeeper. Bristol Rovers 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1.
Barnsley's remarkable week continued at Oakwell against Oxford. 5 goals in midweek. They were soon trying to add to the tally. Carl Tyler's header kept out by Les Robinson on the line. Well, Mel Machin's influence is clearly rubbing off. The next attractive move, highlighted by Brian McCord's cross, which ended with Andy Saville's header hitting the top of Oxford's bar. Brian Horton's team are next to bottom of the second division. Despite possessing attractive players like Mark Steen and Paul Simpson, it needed Clive Baker's agility to thwart Simpson here. There must be something at the end of a rainbow for this Barnsley side, and sure enough, they weren't to be denied much longer. 5 minutes after the interval, Andy Saville's good work down the left prompted this effort, tipped onto the bar by Alan Judge. Andy Rammell following in for his 4th goal since moving from Manchester United reserves. Saville deserved a goal for his part in that, and he soon got his reward, a throw-in deflected off the top of an Oxford head, opening the way for Andy to make it 2-0. Oxford did make the odd chance, and Clive Baker was at his sharpest to keep out the next double thrust. Then, to prove it really was Barnsley's day, they rounded it off with their 8th goal of a memorable week. Steve Agnew's pass, Brendan O'Connell going on, and the shot going in off Steve Foster in the last minute. Even O'Connell seemed to indicate it wasn't really his goal. Barnsley 3, Oxford 0. So, in the winners' column, Barnsley and Sheffield Wednesday, but the least said about Hull's trip to the East End, the better. They suffered the humiliation of a 7-1 thrashing at West Ham. South Yorkshire thrilled to have Barnsley up there in 7th place this morning. Sheffield Wednesday still have a game in hand over leaders Oldham, surprisingly held at home to a draw by Blackburn. Not so happy are Hull City. They're 8 places off the bottom, but the goals against Column took a hammering, if you'll excuse the pun. Watford at rock bottom haven't won a match. They've lost all 5 at home.
In Division 3, plenty of action for the rain-soaked crowd at Grimsby to enjoy. This is David Dorrier, the man who scored Swansea's goal at Bradford last month, and McDermott desperately close to an own goal. Some neat football from Grimsby, though, in difficult conditions. Cockrell, Rees, Cunnington and Cockrell. The ball came just a little bit too quickly to him. Then 5 minutes before half-time, the Grimsby goal arrived on the wings of a monsoon. I doubt the crowd at the other end even saw it, but it's Dave Gilbert who punishes the understandable uncertainty in the Swansea defence. Grimsby increased in confidence after that, particularly Gilbert after his goal. They really should have got a second here. Cockrell, and it's Woods in the way of the shot from his own man, and Swansea survive. And in fact, Swansea had much the better of the second half. This is Dorrier again with their best effort of all. Fully 30 yards. Steve Sherwood, though, alert to the danger. This was Grimsby's best effort in the second half. Gilbert again, what a difference a goal makes. His cross, and Alan Davis there to help out his goalkeeper. Grimsby 1, Swansea 0.
The Huddersfield Town bandwagon has rolled into top gear this week. Wins over Chester and Exeter led to hopes of a hat-trick of successes with Leyton Orient the visitors to Leeds Road. Keith Edwards was the first to get a chance without being able to take it. Orient's offside trap wasn't too well organised. Ife Onyora next to spring it, but he couldn't get his own angle right. But now for the goal that turned out to be the winner. Again, the move started down the right. From the corner, the ball played back to Kieran O'Regan. He puts over the cross, and recent signing Peter Jackson's header good enough to go in, although at least 3 other players vainly attempted to get the credit. Well, Keith Edwards is regarded primarily as a scorer of goals, but he was the provider for Mark Smith, who was unlucky with this one. Orient themselves didn't really conjure up many chances. Their best effort was undoubtedly that by fullback Howard. A cracking shot thumped off the underside of the bar to safety. Well, to say he's such a big man, Ife Onyora, whose goal had won the points in midweek, has exceptionally good control, as he proved here, eventually setting up Keith Edwards for what could well have proved a truly spectacular goal. It wasn't quite Keith's day. He normally scores from the sort of chances that fell to him yesterday, but even though he curled the next one the wrong side of the upright, Town went on to record their best sequence of victories in 20 months. Huddersfield 1, Leyton Orient 0. Huddersfield and Grimsby not our only winners either. Mansfield's success at Shrewsbury by far their best performance. Bradford suffered more pain, a home defeat by Brentford. Rotherham's calamitous start continued with a defeat at Fulham. Grimsby a mere 2 points behind leaders Southend, who won on Friday night. Huddersfield's tremendous week has rocketed them into the top half of the table. Only just, but it's a start. Despite their failure, Bradford are the next best placed side in the region. Mansfield have made great strides forward, but the not-so-merry Millers of Rotherham have gone the other way, right to the bottom, still with only 1 win to their name.
In Division 4, Halifax's new signing Steve Norris almost scored from 6 yards after just 2 minutes of his debut. Scunthorpe had to be on the defensive for the most part, but Dave Cowling's effort deserved a better fate. The match, incidentally, 22 minutes late starting because Scunthorpe had been stuck on the M62. Brian Butler was involved in most of Halifax's best moves. From his corner, Dave Evans' shot is blocked only by a forest of bodies. Butler again here on the left. Norris's leg just long enough to reach the ball, but not quite long enough to make dangerous contact. Gregory's effort testing Musselwhite, and it is largely due to him that Halifax still haven't scored this season. Halifax 0, Scunthorpe 0. So draws all round in Division 4, those we haven't seen. Chesterfield held at home by Northampton, goalless there. Goalless too, Burnley against York, without an excellent away point for York. Only Doncaster then flying the region's flag in the upper reaches of the division, and they can fly it even higher if they win at Scarborough this afternoon. A win for Scarborough, though, would put them in this top half of the table. There they are at the moment, 14th. Halifax at least managed their second point of the season, but they're now well adrift at the bottom. And remarkably enough, none of those bottom 11 teams lost yesterday. As for Sheffield, only the blue half will enjoy their lunch today, but the Blades' luck must surely change soon, mustn't it?
Almost at the death. He's buried by his teammates. They are so delighted. They foraged away for the goal, and even when it came, it looked as though it was never going to go in. Skill by Goodwin opened the way, and then good skill as well by Williamson. Mendonca showing the tenacity required of strikers, and it was in off the upright.
Quarter hour, Pearson's header, and Chris White lost his marker. His first goal for Leeds United. 2 minutes later, another defensive error cost the visitors another goal. Kenny Sampson caught in possession by Gordon Strachan, and when Strachan's cross comes in, it's Sampson who gets the deflection to take the ball into the path of Lee Chapman. He's missed a few from that range this season, but he does get in those scoring positions on the 6-yard line. Chris Fairclough joining the attack for Leeds, setting up Gary McAllister. And when his ball's played in, Chapman again unmarked 6 yards out, and this time a fine save by Jan Stiksau, Rangers' new Czech goalkeeper. Paul Parker on the ball, who was on England duty in midweek against Poland. And Chris White crucially here slips. Bardsley is the first to react, quicker than Snowdin. And his cross finds the unmarked Butch Wilkins. Second goal of the season for Wilkins. And now you can sit back and admire Rangers' equaliser from Roy Wegerle and count the number of men he beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the goalkeeper 6. It may be a bit early to talk about goal of the season in October, but that really will take some beating. And now the moment where Leeds should have restored their lead. Danny Maddox here adjudged to have pushed Lee Chapman. Penalty to Leeds. And watch the goalkeeper here as Strachan takes the kick. Clearly moving before the kick was taken, but I'm sure Gordon Strachan will blame himself anyway. The second penalty he's missed for Leeds United. Leeds still driving forward. David Batty playing a good one too with John Pearson. And again Lee Chapman losing his markers, but not finding the target from the edge of the goal area. The Queen's Park Rangers made him pay for that miss. The ball not properly cleared by Leeds, and Wilkins sets up Roy Wegerle for his 9th goal of the season, the joint top scorer in Division 1. Leeds 2, Queen's Park Rangers 3.
Sheffield United had the day's most thankless task, going to White Hart Lane, but they carried the game to Spurs in the early stages, and from Bryson's cross, Brian Deane unlucky not to claim his 7th goal of the season. And it was 0-0 at half-time, an upset very much on the cards, but then it all turned sour for Bassett's boys. Paul Allen giving warning with a shot that came out off the crossbar. Simon Tracy, recalling goal for the first time since the opening day of the season, was soon backpedalling again though. Paul Walsh could have scored that one with his eyes closed. Tracy disconsolate. Not a lot had been seen of Paul Gascoigne, but he was at the centre of the flashpoint of the game. He tricks and teases. Ian Bryson fouled him, but it's David Barnes who kicks the ball away who suffers most. Barnes had already been booked, and referee Bodnam judged that a second bookable offence. Gazza seemed to see the funny side of it all, with the red card shown to Barnes. Well, no wonder Dave Bassett thinks that Gascoigne gets away with things others wouldn't. The best goal of the match came soon afterwards. The header forward by Mitchell Thomas. Walsh then finds the Spaniard Naeem, and his neat finish produced a few olays from the Spurs fans who knew the 3 points were now firmly in the bag. And Gary Lineker wasn't required to come off the substitutes bench, and it was Paul Walsh who made sure the England striker was forgotten with the next goal. The ball not cleared. Eventually, Walsh making tracks in on goal and clipping it past Tracy. His second, Spurs' third. So a happy day for the former England striker Paul Walsh, and it was to be even happier in the last minute. He rounds off a personally memorable day, and the ball comes back to him inside the penalty area. He finds the space, beats Tracy, and completes United's misery. Spurs 4, Sheffield United 0. The big news was that Liverpool failed to win for the first time this season, held 1-1 at Norwich, and Leeds United slip out of the top half. They've won only one of their 5 home games. Sheffield United have been dumped back to the bottom after their defeat, and Derby County's draw is home against Manchester City.
Sheffield Wednesday's wonderful start to the season was recognised yesterday, Ron Atkinson getting the Manager of the Month award. But he'd have been even more pleased with events half an hour after the kick-off. Trevor Francis, who kept his place despite David Hurst's return from injury, involved in the move that led to Paul Williams beating the defenders and putting Wednesday a goal ahead. Nigel Worthington finding the overlapping fullback Phil King. And a fine save by Wood. Worthington again finding space in that penalty area with some regularity, but this time just off the target. Then a Port Vale fullback involved in an important move. Mills finding Porter, who does very well to regain his feet, and finds the unmarked Colin Gibson, doing exactly what he did to Hull recently, stealing in unseen and scoring a vital goal. Wednesday, though, had more of the attacking play, and another fine save here by Wood, whose reactions were excellent on the day, that time foiling Paul Williams from close range. Another attacking fullback move, again it's King involved, a miscue, and Parkin just getting the vital header above Williams to keep the final score at Sheffield Wednesday 1, Port Vale 1.
Hull City and Wolves have seen plenty of one another lately. Steve Ball hadn't scored in any of the previous meetings, but he soon put that right. Buckley's header out. And then Ian Hesford, obviously put off by the England's man's presence, virtually handing him a goal after only 7 minutes. Well, it seemed the game was as good as over when Wolves got their second. Gary Bellamy threading the pass through. Robbie Dennison made it 2-0, and Wolves seemed certain to avenge their Rumbelows Cup defeat. And soon it was to be nearly 3-0. Bull sending Tim Steele away down the right. And he rattles the crossbar, the net rippling, but no goal. Well, Hull showed plenty of spirit. Hockaday starting the move. It seemed as though Bamber had been nudged in the penalty area. The referee said play on. Peter Swan did exactly that. And Andy Payton headed Hull back into the game, even if he probably can't remember much about it. Well, Payton certainly knows where the nets are at Boothbury Park. He's got 9 goals already, and he came close to reaching double figures with this effort. It's a good comeback by the Tigers, and this tremendous interception by Malcolm Shotton sends them going forward again. Ian McParland chases and then screws the ball back for Peter Swan to lob it forward, and it's Dave Bamber's hook shot kept out on the line, but by a header and not a handball as some claim. Hull 1, Wolves 2. No winners, but Barnsley well satisfied with a draw at West Brom. They stretched their unbeaten record to 7 games. Sheffield Wednesday's failure to beat Port Vale cost them top spot. Oldham are up there now. Steve Cooper's last-minute goal kept Barnsley in 8th place. That home defeat for Hull dropped them back to the fringe of the relegation places. 2 of the 3 teams beneath them won, only Charlton losing.
Bradford City scored the fastest league goal of the season. Paul Tomlinson got the ball straight from the kick-off, and from his long punt upfield, Greg Abbott set up Paul Jewell's second goal of the season. Confidently taken, 18 seconds gone. The fastest goal ever at Field Mill. Both teams needed the points, Mansfield 6 off the bottom, Bradford 9. And Trevor Christie here is only foiled by some brave goalkeeping from Tomlinson. It wasn't really Christie's afternoon. He was sent off in injury time for arguing once too often with the referee. He played a big part in the match, though, before then. And here he sets up Gary Chapman, playing against his old club. Just a little unlucky. Mansfield 0, Bradford 1. So Bradford and Rotherham collect maximum points. Grimsby soaked up Birmingham's pressure to earn a valuable away point. Huddersfield lost 1-0 at Brentford. Grimsby stayed top because Southend were hammered 4-1 at Wigan, and it's all boiling up nicely for the Mariners' home meeting with third-place Stoke on Saturday. Huddersfield have slipped 3 places. Bradford's position unchanged. Mansfield's slip of place and still haven't won at home. Rotherham's win takes them off the bottom, but they have 2 away games in the next 6 days.
Scunthorpe are still trying to make headway after an indifferent start in Division 4, and Mark Lillis back up front showed enterprise to put the first effort just wide of Scarborough's goal. And it was from a similar position the opening goal came on 17 minutes. Tony Dawes doing it all himself. Now for the sort of melee more often associated with schoolboy football. The ball coming back off the bar, Flounder's header kept out, and eventually kicked away. Now you need luck to win matches. The long ball here clipped the heel of Kamara, and Dawes there again collecting his second. Scunthorpe put the seal on their success in the second half. It was Kevin Taylor who started it. Now Hicks with the long ball across the face of the goal. Dawes heading back, and look who's got up there. It's Kevin Taylor again. He's gone 50 yards to finish it as well. Scunthorpe United 3, Scarborough 0.
York versus Halifax meant the league's 89th club playing the 92nd. Not much entertainment here? Don't you believe it? 7 minutes gone. Ian Helliwell's 4th goal in 7 games. Halifax, of course, used to be the team who couldn't score, but since this man, Billy Barr, broke the jinx at Carlisle last week, there's no stopping them. Tommy Graham's cross, Steve Norris. Second successive goal since signing from Carlisle. The goal that restored York's lead saw David Brown caught flat-footed by Gary Howlett's first-time lob, and it was 3-1 4 minutes later when Ian Dunn was too quick, not only for Brown, but also, unfortunately, for our cameraman. Now, would Halifax's newfound scoring touch be enough to manage 2 in a quarter of an hour? No problem. First of all, Tommy Graham's shot is deflected in by the unlucky Weatherhead. That with 13 minutes to go, and then with 2 minutes left, Ian Juriev is too quick and too powerful on the ball for Weatherhead. And his shot is saved, but only pushed out as far as Norris. 3 goals in 2 games for him, York 3, Halifax 3.
Doncaster were the other winners. Neil Grayson got the only goal against Lincoln to give Rovers their first win in 6. Chesterfield's miserable form continued at Carlisle and David Caldwell was sent off. So Doncaster's return to form lifted them up to 5th. Scarborough and Scunthorpe just scrape into the top half of the table, but unfortunately we find most of our teams in the other half. 4 in the bottom 7, in fact. On an optimistic note, York, Lincoln and Halifax all have a game in hand over the others, and there's a full programme of matches on Tuesday night.
And that's it. What do Snowdin, Batty, Pearson, McAllister, Fairclough and Lukic have in common? Roy Wegerle beat them all in 10 seconds. Goodbye.
And Goals on Sunday returns at the same time next week at 12:25.
It was a bit of a bombshell.
Just the start Villa wanted. An amazing goal in his first of the season. What a terrific shot. There was no stopping that one.
Well, it's what Villa needed. There'd been no penetration up until now, and even now there wasn't, but what a great shot. And Zenga was left without any chance at all.
Black had it charged away.
He did. It was well teed up then.
Birch then. Castorino played a great part here. And look at that. What a sight for Sonny Daly. Not only did he fool Bergamy, but he held off Mateus.
Well, he took 3 players on.
And that's a real challenge.
It is a real challenge, and he succeeded. And actually brought out a great save from Zenga. It was a great save. Zenga's kept them in the game here.
So it's a corner which Hounds will take. Their first of the game. And Milan probably have done their homework. They'll know just what a good corner he delivers. Well, they had, because they were all around Nielsen at that near post. Rice with a header. Coming. Birch. That might be a short ball for Bramer to hit onto that famous left foot of his his. And Chris Price attacking the ball. This could be problems. Just outside the box. Mateus is there. Bramer with that famous left foot of his. There he goes. Cannoned off Mountfield, who conceded in the first place. Mateus getting to that byline. Stopped beautifully there by Stuart Gray. They are defending so well. Black with a little touch. Daly. Don't give it away there, no. Plays it forward again, but the moment of Graham Taylor with it.
And I couldn't quite work it out at the time.
Well,
what do you think?
It's the first time really seeing this. I'm not too certain. Oh, this isn't the thing. No, this is when he wriggles through and has a tremendous shot, isn't it? I mean, he does very, very well there. That's Tony at his very best. He wriggles through holes sometimes that aren't even there.
Yes, this is the one.
This is the one. He's come across. He's probably just caught his back leg, but I mean, the boy Bergamy really is completely lost. He's running with his back to the play, and then he goes on. And this is what I'm saying about his awareness. Look, he's placed it beyond him. That he's improving. He's had to come across, and he's gone for the. Perhaps if he'd come for this other corner, he might have actually done a little bit better. But it's still a good save and a good header.
This is Jurgen Klinsmann's miss when he evades Nielsen's challenge.
Well, it happens to us all, doesn't it? He touched it with his right foot a little bit.
Smiling face of David Flatt makes it 2 for Aston Villa. What a great piece of finishing again. A lovely ball played in by Cowans. And there's Flatt. Ice cool finishing as Zenger comes out. and a wheels away in delight. Cascarino's touch, Cowan's was the killer touch, and this is the killer finish. 2-0, David Platt. Jimmy Greaves.
It was a great move, a great ball by Sid Cowans, brilliantly controlled by Platt, and David's on his bike. And Bremer was nowhere to be seen.
Cowans gets it away.
It was a super move, that. Super move.
Inter Milan get a throw. Villa gets some breathing space.
At one stage if he was going to clip it with his left foot across, but he's picked that nice little header by Chris Price. You know, he's just nipped it in. And as Zenga comes out, then Platty's a little bit unfortunate there. I mean, that's all he can do, but he's in there again. You see the keeper's coming out.
Cowan's, a survivor of Aston Villa's European Cup win in 1981, showed his experience tonight.
Playing as well as he ever has done, yeah. And he's just topped it a little bit there, but very, very unfortunate.
How do you think Gordon Cowans and Platt finishing it off in World Cup style?
It's a great little move. I mean, Gordon's there again, but it's just a little bit of a little dummy there to keep him on. He's put it in straight. I mean, Platt has had an absolutely superb game today. He's done everything that one could ask. Lovely ball there. Just that little bit there, and he's in there again. And off he goes. Very, very pleased for him.
OK, great. Well,
Popping up inside the penalty area. And Sheffield Wednesday, having spurned 2 good chances to go ahead themselves, now go 1 down.
Well, that was a great run. It was a great run by Warhurst at the right back. He gave the boy King a cross, and the boys got into the box very early. It's ironical to think that they've only had 2 chances, 2 attacks down there, and the ball came across.
Scores for Oldham. Wednesday were totally stretched, and David Curry, who is skillful and used to score his goals for Barnsley not far away, gets a priceless one for Oldham to take them 2 ahead.
And I think the great thing there was that they got caught very flat at the back, and the ball over the top. And it was a great ball delivered in, and it was a great run by Curry. And as you see here, he comes into the thing. I thought the goalkeeper was a little bit hesitant and came rather late. Had he shifted himself a little bit earlier, he might have got there.
Now, and Oldham do not object. And David Hurst going on into the penalty area. It was a lovely ball through to him. And he's earned the penalty. He's got to finish it off.
It's great here. John Sheridan does very well here. He plays the ball in. David Hurst does well. First time David's really got into the box, got the bit between his teeth and attacked him. And he's brought him down. Definite penalty.
Hurst has handed the job over to Sheridan, who's taking an almighty long run-up. John Sheridan to bring Sheffield Wednesday back into it. Perfectly tucked away. It's 2-1 now, and what a game we've got on our hands. And Worthington on the halfway line raises his arms to the crowd and says, come on, lift us.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a great match now. I think this is the incentive that Wednesday needed. Now they've got a great chance. Great penalty by John Sheridan.
Post for Carlton Palmer, might fall for Sheridan. John Sheridan goes on, and is this another penalty? It is. And Sheridan wins a penalty. Pure skill got him into the position. He took it on, and eventually there was nothing left to do but to bring him down. And again, credit referee Ron Groves with being right on the spot.
Yeah, it was a great cross of ball to Carlton Palmer here. John takes the initiative here, which he's very good at, and this is the situation for him. He gets in that box, he's got the ability to go by people.
And Sheridan himself has the chance to cap it with his second goal, and the equaliser is 2-2. And Wednesday have come right back into it. And you can tell from the expression on Sheridan's face how much it means to him and the club. He got 2 against Plymouth a few weeks ago, but he won't get a more important goal than this one now. And Ron Atkinson is off his feet, he's on his feet, Alan Smith is there. And Wednesday are backing it with this Sheridan penalty. Touched away beautifully.
Yeah, it's a great penalty by John, that.
But I think there's no doubt, Maurice, these 2 sides have got to be in the shake-up to go up to Division 1 at the end of the season.
Well, it looks very much that way, John. I mean, I was at the Nottingham Forest Spurs game last week, and I tell you what, this is on par, if not a little bit better and more exciting.
Here's Hurst! The chance to win it is Wednesday's. They can't take it.
It looked very much like he was offside there, but I think that's what they all thought.
Well, I thought Danny Wilson was offside, and I haven't seen a whistle or a flag or anything.
But it was a great chance, a great ball in. He heads it down well. No, I don't think he was. It was an excellent chance. That could have clinched it for them.
Oh, that would have been a dramatic finale. As it is, the referee blows for full time to signal the end of surely one of the best matches anybody could ever wish to see here. It's ended Sheffield Wednesday 2, Oldham 2. Tremendous test of character for both sides. Oldham 2 up early on through Nick Henry and David Kerry. Wednesday coming back, giving their all with John Sheridan there, converting 2 second-half penalties. 1-1 by Hurst, 1-1 by himself. And perhaps the result is absolutely perfect from two teams who we all think will probably be in Division 1 next season. Sheffield Wednesday 2, Oldham 2.
He played his part in a goal of splendid simplicity. Shuts chest, Strachan, shut, Chapman. 26 minutes gone. 30,500 at Ellen Road yesterday. Chapman's 6th goal of the season, 3 in 4 games. Forest in midweek at Plymouth had looked a class above their opponents. Now it was happening to them in reverse. Gainer's handball, hastening their downfall. But like Sheffield Wednesday, Leeds had made enough chances not to need penalties, really. None of that worried Strachan, and Leeds went in at the break, 2 up. Howard Wilkinson felt they got carried away in the second half and should have had more goals. They had to settle for just one from Gary McAllister. His first goal for the club, worth waiting for. Forest's consolation came midway through the half. Nigel Jemson played onside by Chris Kamara, number 3, and he took his chance with great calmness. That's where the scoring ended. Leeds 3, Forest 1.
Sheffield United's problems were soon mounting at Carrow Road. On the half hour, Tim Sherwood steered the header past Simon Tracy. 5 minutes into the second half, Vinnie Jones got his second goal in the Sheffield jersey, but at the wrong end. Ian Crook hammering the ball in low, and United's skipper deflecting it past Tracy. And the result was to be made even more emphatic 15 minutes from time. Good skill from Rule Fox, who plays a cheeky ball over the top. Lee Power and Dale Gordon both involved, but the glory of scoring fell to Phillips, and the journey home from East Anglia became even longer. Norwich 3, Sheffield United 0. And this is how the First Division looks this morning. Don't forget Liverpool meet Spurs on ITV this afternoon. Leeds move up to 7th, overhauling Luton, Villa and yesterday's victims, Nottingham Forest. Sheffield United, the only team in the country without a win, and with Derby beating Luton, they're 6 points adrift. Everton, 7 points ahead of them, are due at Bramall Lane next Saturday.
In Division 2, Barnsley in 6th place travelled to Middlesbrough in 7th and fell a goal behind after just 4 minutes. Carl Tyler's clearance hitting Steve Agnew in the back, and Paul Kerr takes full advantage of his 5th goal in 11 games. Bernie Slavin following the ball into the net, but the goal goes down to Kerr, who's on the transfer list, by the way. Slavin makes sure that Kerr gets the credit. John Hendry's cross 9 minutes later almost sets up Kerr's second. Middlesbrough had the better of the first half, but in the second half it was all Barnsley. They couldn't find the net though. Andy Saville against the bar, Owen Archdeacon putting the rebound just wide. And from Baker's long clearance, some very ropey defending from Middlesbrough. Kernigan with an attempted back pass. Andy Rammell in the clear, but the first touch just letting him down, the goalkeeper smothering the chance. Something very similar. Again it's Rammell away, and again the goalkeeper does very well low down to his right. Middlesbrough rarely seen as an attacking force in the second half. Their best effort came from Robbie Mustoe. Final score, Middlesbrough 1, Barnsley 0.
Hull City had never beaten Newcastle United until yesterday, but David Mayle led them forward, and ex-Sheffield Wednesday fullback Wayne Jacobs hooked in his first goal of the season. Lee Palin next released Mayle on another surging run out of defence, and the defender's eventual shot nearly knocked John Burridge off his feet. Hull just unable to follow it in. Hull's biggest problem has been their leaky defence, and it was almost exploited again. Mark McGee in a good position, but spooning the chance over the top. Newcastle haven't won any of their last 10 games, and the fans are clamouring for the return of Kevin Keegan. They could do with someone with superior finishing. But it was their evergreen goalkeeper John Burridge who was the most active man on the field, saving there from Andy Payton. All action stuff from a side playing way above its league position. Peter Swan's header the next thing to keep Burridge on his toes. And Burridge wasn't the only golden oldie on show. Malcolm Shotton belied his 33 years with a 50-yard dash. He also played a good ball to Peter Swan, who then took his time in teeing up the return ball, shot in on the end of it. Again, Burridge as safe as houses. But Hull's second goal was too much for him. David Hockaday swinging in the cross, and a typical Peter Swan diving header just about guaranteed Hull the points with quarter of an hour left. Although Swan doesn't remember much about it. By now, Newcastle seeking only consolation. One foray did promise a goal as Ian Hesford punched the ball in the air, but he and the bodies around him somehow contrived to keep the ball out in an almighty scramble. And it wasn't until 5 minutes from time that Newcastle did get their reward. Mark McGee stabbing the ball over the line from Anderson's head down. Hull City 2, Newcastle United 1.
And they were our only winners. Wednesday relieved in the end with a draw, Barnsley defeated. So Wednesday remains 6 points behind Oldham and now 4 behind West Ham, who won at Notts County. But they do have a game in hand over the top two. Barnsley missed a chance to go fourth and in fact drop a place. Hull's win only lifts them 1 place, but it does move them to within 3 points of Newcastle, who came so close to promotion last season. Sometimes 6 months is a short time in football.
With Southend not playing until today, Grimsby had the chance to take over leadership of Division 3, but they didn't make a good start. Andy Tilson there bringing down Steve Neville. Steve Sherwood guessed which way Gordon Hobson would aim, though, and saved his side. Not for the last time. Sherwood again the saviour in the second half. Lee Rogers pumping in the shots. Sherwood equal to everything that came at him on the day. Grimsby's best chance in the entire 90 minutes fell to Tony Rees. His speed took him clear, but the shot ending on the wrong side of the net, as they all did on the day. Exeter 0, Grimsby 0.
Early drama at Millmore when Des Hazel goes down in the penalty area, but did he fall or was he pushed? The referee gives a penalty, Phil Babb clearly suggesting he didn't touch him. It all became academic, Bobby Williamson's penalty in a way symptomatic of a team who don't believe in themselves anymore. And there was more for those Bradford fans to enjoy. Having weathered the storm, Bradford struck back through Megson, McCarthy, the goalkeeper doing well, smothering from Lee Duxbury. And more good goalkeeping at the other end from Paul Tomlinson, who wasn't done any favours by Babb's deflection from Scott's free kick. Good reactions. Bradford went in front 12 minutes into the second half, Gavin Oliver finding time and space in a crowded penalty area. And more confusion in the Rotherham box. The ball eventually rebounding off substitute Stuart Evans, off the line by Hazel. The referee in any case had seen an infringement. Bradford's second goal came 7 minutes from time, and what a cracker. Robbie James. Congratulations from the bench from a fellow Welshman, Leighton James. Rotherham 0, Bradford 2. Our other winners were Huddersfield, thanks to Kieran O'Regan's late penalty at Birmingham. Grimsby's point, a valuable one. Mansfield lost 3-1 at home to Crewe, Kevin Kent, their scorer. Grimsby's point enough to take them top, at least for the moment, but Southend are playing now at 7th place Brentford, who could themselves go third if they win. It's so tight that Bradford are only 3 points off 4th place, as indeed are Huddersfield, below Bradford only on goal difference. Home defeats leave Mansfield and Rotherham propping up the division, and Fulham could pull away from them a bit if they win at Leyton Orient today.
There was only one moment when York seemed likely to topple 4th Division leaders Torquay. Dunn tugged back for a penalty not every referee would have given. 5 minutes from time. But Gareth Howells saved Gary Howlett's spot kick to preserve Torquay's unbeaten record. York 0, Torquay 0.
Scunthorpe began against Stockport, hoping to go up into the top half of the division, and thought they had a fair claim for a penalty when Taylor was clattered over by Bullock. An indirect free kick, though, was the decision. And it brought a shot from young Neil Cox, not too far off the target. Stockport, in all honesty, had the better of the first half. And when Mark Lillis lost control in the penalty area, Frayne brought a really good save from Paul Musselwhite. Into the second half, and 7th place Stockport still looked a fair bet for their first away win. Beaumont again testing Musselwhite. Then suddenly, on the hour, Scunthorpe were on their way. Cox's cross and Mark Lillis' header creeping in off the underside of the bar. Sad thing was that fewer than 3,000 were at Scunthorpe to see all this. Before Stockport could recover from the shock, Dawes filing a handball by Gannon This time the referee does give the penalty. No mistake from Andy Flounders. And 10 minutes from time, further proof that the Stockport defence had gone to pieces, spectacularly punished by Tony Dawes. Scunthorpe 3, Stockport 0.
And Scunthorpe were the day's only winners from the region. Mind you, Chesterfield were the only losers. They had 7 men booked as well at Peterborough. Lincoln drew at Carlisle, Scarborough shared 6 goals at Hereford, and Doncaster were foiled by Gillingham. Even so, Doncaster are our best placed team, 6th, just 2 points outside the promotion places. Scunthorpe's revival has lifted them into the top 10. But the remainder of the region's clubs are in the bottom half. Scarborough in respectable shape, Chesterfield inconsistent, York have drawn over half their games, Lincoln average only a goal a game, and Halifax haven't yet slipped into second gear, but promise to do so soon.
And that's it. We'll remember the action at Hillsborough for a long time. If you want to compare it with Division 1, can you wait 2 hours? Spurs meet Liverpool on The Match, ITV, 2:55.
Arsenal leave it very late at Highfield Road. 2 goals in the last 7 minutes. Anders Limpar with a brilliant run and a fine effort out of nothing. Even at £1 million, he's turning out to be a real bargain. 3 minutes to go now. Getting the ball from Winterburn, right-footed this time, helped by a deflection off Peter Billing. But 3 more points for Arsenal, and George Graham's team still unbeaten.
Lee Sharp has provided United with a prodigious supply of crosses, a much better balance since he was recalled to the side, combining with Danny Wallace, who set up Neil Webb for number 1. Palace losing their unbeaten record at Old Trafford. Danny Wallace latching on to Webb's pass this time. Wallace, who's lost weight and gained confidence, making it look easy, which it certainly wasn't. 2-0 United.
Caretaker manager Jimmy Gabriel took over from the departed Colin Harvey in the week, but Everton's first goal owed more to the sort of luck that really might have saved Harvey from the axe. Mike Newell, after 22 minutes, beating the offside trap, and Jan Stayskal to give Everton the lead. A very close thing, but a good finish from Newell. Everton high on confidence now, on the hour. There's a miscue at the back for Rangers, and Nevin from close in makes it 2. Last minute now, Neil MacDonald makes sure of all 3 points.
Leeds 9th, Forest 10th, that little to choose beforehand. And Leeds really playing Forest at their own game. Sharp, slick interchange of passing that ended with Lee Chapman scoring against his old club. A sweet goal and a sweet moment for Chapman. Alan Rowe will never go down as one of Brian Clough's favourite haunts, and he must have feared the worst when Tommy Gaynor handled following that cross. Gordon Strachan, who's involved in just about everything that Leeds do, took the penalty to make it 2-0. Now, what's the difference between a long ball and a long pass? Probably when Strachan plays it. Picking out Chapman, speed, McAllister, 3-0. Well, hardly a game goes by for Forest without Nigel Jemson scoring, but this one not much of a consolation for Brian Clough. But another good example of Jemson's excellent close control, his 9th of the season.
Chelsea are still unbeaten at Stamford Bridge. The vital goal against Villa came after just 5 minutes. The scorer, Graham Lasso. Well, Villa may have been preoccupied by Wednesday's trip to Milan. Just before the interval, referee John Martin must have convinced them it wasn't going to be their day. The half-time whistle preempts David Platt's overhead kick, a decision Clive Thomas would have been proud of. A goal, though, enough for Chelsea this time.
Both these two suffered Rumbelows Cup setbacks in midweek. Sunderland's was more embarrassing, 6-0 at Derby. Gordon Armstrong chasing and providing Peter Davenport with his 5th of the season. City had Neil Poynton's perseverance to thank for their equaliser. Mark Ward then taking over. Niall Quinn getting up where the air's thinner. And David White with his 3rd of the week. City still unbeaten in the league since the opening day.
It's 3 wins in a week now for Derby, their season getting into gear at last. Luton not the best of travellers, they give away a penalty, handball on the line by David Preece. Dean Saunders, goal number 5 of the year for the Welsh international. Just after half-time, Luton are level. Lars Elstrup, who's having such a good season for them. And the equaliser, well taken by Kingsley Black. But Derby get that first win at the baseball ground this season with a splendid effort from Nigel Callaghan. Callaghan on loan from the Villa. A great strike beyond Alec Chamberlain.
Things are beginning to look up for Norwich. That draw against Liverpool, victory at Queen's Park Rangers, and now a comfortable win over bottom place Sheffield United. David Phillips picking out the isolated Tim Sherwood for number 1. 10 minutes into the second half, Vinnie Jones clearing United lines. It was Ian Crook who stepped up a gear, got round the back, and it was Vinnie who got his bearings all wrong. But it was vintage Norwich for number 3. They come and go at Carrow Road, but Dave Stringer and David Williams stick to their principles and insist the game be played the way it was always meant to be played. Dale Gordon should have scored. David Phillips made sure. 3-0, Sheffield United still without a league win this season.
The 5,500 fans at Plough Lane saw one of the strangest goals of the season so far. Watch for confusion at the back from Southampton between Mickey Adams and Tim Flowers. It'll go down as a keeper's own goal, and that's cruel. The Saints get their equaliser from a penalty. That isn't the infringement, that one is. Roger Joseph on Alan Shearer, and Matthew Le Tissier gets the point. Wimbledon still can't.
Coming round, and then it's really 6-1. Klinsmann knocked him off. Nigel's not too certain what to do, and then it's the miss-hit shot that comes. I was disappointed. The ball, we should never be caught with the ball over the long ball. Got right over the top, and then the pace and power of Klinsmann knocked Stewart. And, you know, I mean, Nigel's not on target, we all think, don't we? And just we would have liked that to have been on. Nice little ball there from the outside of his right foot by Bertie. And it's coming in there. Matthias has done well. It breaks. He's carried on running. Klinsmann's in here.
Senga celebrates, as we see again, a crucial moment in this UEFA Cup tie, as Matthias's corner goes right across that Villa goal, falls for the unmarked Bertie, and that brings the scores level on aggregate.
Well, we've been saying about crosses, Brian, that Villa have been in trouble all night with crosses, and that was the ultimate price there.
Nielsen didn't quite get a touch on it, and Villa was sorely punished. Cascarino's up. So it really is balanced now. The line before that was crossed in from the left-hand side. And equally, whether there was an offside way before that, which I really think there was. But this will tell us whether it was over the line or not. I think that was over the line.
And I think I would have to agree with you, but it was a lovely little ball in there, wasn't it, by Bianchi? You can probably see it from here.
That looked to me as though that was a fraction over the line.
Gary Lineker, what did you feel?
Well, it's very debatable. I think the linesman obviously given the benefit of the doubt, but the whole ball has to be over. We must remember that. But I'd be disappointed if I was a Villa defender.
Saint, your feeling? Well, that's a crucial moment of the whole night, isn't it?
It's deliberately there. He's not. I mean, for me, I don't think he is offside. I think we're very sure, you know, we're a bit late getting out there onto them. You know, we should be... See, Paul's coming. He should be closing him down much earlier than that. And he allows him to come into the position there. And then he gets a block, and then he goes to the ground, and it sneaks out, and the linesman is in a good position. But that happens at these places here. I mean, that's unfortunate as it comes out. The ball is out of play, and the linesman's this side, and he's not up with it. But I mean, the problems have started earlier than that. Today, I mean, the second half at the back, they defended far too deep. And if you're kept at the back like that, you can't get up, as Gary Lineker says.
But here's the man who engineered that goal. A marvellous run by Paulins. 15 minutes to half-time, and the strength, determination and power of Paulins took him past 3-4 lunging tackles, and he delivered a killer ball where defenders hate it. Robbins, he's a predator. And Robbins was there to apply the finishing touch to a marvellous surging run here by Ince. Ince at his best, taking defenders on. Easy finish for Robbins. Phelan. Cleaned up nicely by Beaumont. Again with Bruce, and that's 2-0. And Wrexham, just as happened in the first leg, find that their brave resistance is ended by a Manchester United flurry just before half-time. Bruce turned it in. Pallister had done the damage with the downward header. Wrexham are 2 behind. Steve Bruce is making a habit of scoring goals in recent matches. It's his 6th of the season, and it has certainly rubber-stamped Manchester United's passage, I would think, into the next round.
Where's the marking? Where's Goff on that goal? Where are the others?
Tonight, Rangers look to Graham Souness. But they were held 0-0 at home by Bruce. Got more. A tough night for Aberdeen in Poland.
Gets the below full fitness Richard Goff, I think. Gets the cross in. Watch for Prosinecki on this side. Monroe doesn't get hold of it at all. Prosinecki knocks it back in. And as the ball comes to Panchev, magnificent control with the head and an acrobatic volley. A really great finish here, Ray Wilkins.
Yes, I think that's a great finish from a world-class striker. He takes 2 touches on his head and then volleys a tremendous...
He's ran out with the chip from the right-hand side. Defenders were sleeping a bit, and McCoy's guided his header.
And the deadly finish. Carbone's shot was good enough, not perhaps apparent there, but from the replay, Marco van Basten clearly elbowing Plovey and being sent off without a second thought by Scottish referee David Sun. To beat CSKA Stradets in Sofia, they had Alan McInally among the scorers as they added 3 to the 4 they'd scored in the first by private plane for the game with Spartak. By the time Napoli missed that late 4-3. Spartak kept their 100% record from the spot, and Napoli were 5-3 down and out. Poznan found home ground in the south of France more to their liking. Papin's expertly taken goal levelled the aggregate scores. Cruyff, the first goal of a hat-trick that wrapped up the tie, the last 2 minutes. One from Tigana, modestly received. Doesn't often have...
Really not a good ball by David Robertson. And a little bit of space here for the Poles. Kozetsky is out to the left. comes off the head of McKimmie. This is Ivanitsky. He's going to win the race, is he? Yes, he is. Legia have the lead. Krzysztof Ivanitsky is the...
As Juventus ran up an aggregate score of 8-0 against Austria Vienna, World Cup teammate Schillaci has set him up for that one. Baggio had earlier scored a penalty too, and he completed his hat-trick and Juventus's 4-0 win on the night with a curling free kick that embarrassed the keeper. One aggregate winners over Olympiacos of Greece. Marco Branco scored twice in this home leg, first a header, then in the second half again scoring from close range after a neat build-up involving himself and two World Cup players, Italy's Vialli and Yugoslavia's Katanets. It's a shot from Katanets that the keeper can't hold that lets Branco score his second. Spanish Cup holders Barcelona win 3-0 against Reykjavik and cruise through 5-1 on aggregate. Sacristan got the first goal after 17 minutes, and what a shot it is. Carres were humbled by a 3-0 home leg defeat at the hands of Montpellier. The distinctive Colombian Valderrama setting up the opening goal for Coloter 7 minutes into the second half. They duly completed another 8-0 aggregate win. And the referee, Mr. Heinemann, had a rather disconcerting half an hour before the kick-off when the lights failed in the dressing rooms, which delayed the kick-off for 15 minutes. When the chance here, that came off the defender. Oh, and he's gone in! An own goal, that'll have to go down as. And number 9, Latuharu, has put Vitesse 2-0 up. Oh, good ball. Great ball to pick out Ayers. He's got a clear run on Main here. Latuharu, this will be number 3, is it? It's 2-0 on the night. It's 3-0 on aggregate. And Dundee United are surely on their way out of the UEFA Cup. And they were torn apart right down the line. And Malpass has sneaked in. More. Oh, was it a penalty? Yes, it was. Malpass was pulled down. Roberto Strahl, the number 5, pulled down Dundee United's captain. So, Patalainen against Hrau, and Vitesse haven't yet conceded a UEFA goal, and they still haven't, and that was a dreadful penalty. That was a good strong tackle, and it's another penalty. John van den Brom very carefully placing the ball on the spot. And beats Alan Main. It's 3-0 to Vitesse, it's 4-0 in aggregate, and it's an absolute disaster night for Dundee United. Leaves it for Aya. Oh, what a goal! What a fabulous goal! And what a tremendous display by Vitesse Arnhem.
Turned in Bologna. Bias Detari raised Italian hopes, but it was still 3-2 with a quarter of an hour left when Renato Villa, Bologna's captain, levelled the tie with a fine goal. 6 minutes from the end, an even better strike broke hearts. Pietro Mariani scored the third on the night for a team who've scored only 3 times in 7 league games. Giuseppe Giannini's goal set them on the way to 2-1 on the night, 3-2 overall. Kops brushing aside Fenerbahce of Turkey. Eligio Nicolini scores this one. And after a neat build-up, the Italians are left with a lot of options before Walter Bonacina rounds off a convincing victory. Altogether, 7 out of 8 Italian clubs went through.
What do you mean? No, actually, when Bulgaria were holding on for a draw to qualify, and you caught them, didn't you?
Gary Makaido.
That's right.
Get back to him. Aspinall is brought down. Play on as it breaks for Chamberlain here. Chamberlain's shot has gone in. Portsmouth have taken the lead. Chelsea on the rack a little bit here. As Maguire finds Beresford. Took it down well. On to Chamberlain. Clark calling for the high ball to the far post, and he meets it. Oh, it hits the top of the bar. Oh, what a tremendous goal! Whittingham has made it 2 with one of the goals of the season. Dixon on the near post for the kick. It goes in towards him, and it's a splendid kick, and it's gone in. clearance. And Chelsea really got the bit between their teeth here. Townsend going forward all alone. It's a great run by Townsend. He goes spinning for the challenge from Butters, and the referee has given a penalty. It's 2-2. On it goes to Dixon. It's a good little header. Wilson trying to get in behind the defender, and he's done so. Oh, amazingly! Chelsea have surely now snatched victory from the jaws of defeat.
And Nigel Pearson getting a Wednesday goal there. That gives them a home tie in the next round against Derby County.
And a replay at Leyton Orient, and it's the old Wright and Bright combination. This time Wright crosses and Bright knocks it in, and they're away to Southampton in the next round.
By Brook, who checks inside the first and goes outside the second. Gets into the penalty area, and Brook is brought down, and Scarborough have a penalty. And Scarborough are one up with Mitch Cook's penalty. Warham is one man wide on his left.
And Rovers' celebration party was underway. I haven't been the side they looked last season, 7th from bottom at start of play, and 4 home defeats certainly isn't promotion form. And they were in more trouble here. Dewhurst losing out to a hungry-looking David Hurst. He bears down on goal, and good work from goalkeeper Mark Grew, the former Port Vale player. Then as half-time struck, so did Blackburn. From the corner, Atkins shot hits Pearson, and the Rovers captain Keith Hill scores a rare goal. He obviously felt as though Christmas had come early. So did they. 13,500 at Ewood Park yesterday, swelled by a large contingent from Sheffield, who saw their team go agonisingly close many times in the final quarter. Sheridan here, just too high. Trevor Francis, as you see, on as substitute for Steve McCall. Harks with the cross. Peter Shirtliff trying to control it. It just wasn't Wednesday's afternoon. Hurst with the final shot. No points for Wednesday. Blackburn won Wednesday 0.
After 2 defeats in 5 days, Barnsley badly needed to recover their form against Leicester, and Ian Banks, a midweek scorer at Bristol Rovers, was soon pushing them forwards. Andy Saville's effort here well dealt with by Mike Hooper. There were 8,500 at Oakwell, and they seemed certain to be cheering a home goal when Archdeacon's corner came down in the box for Jerry Taggart to fire in the shot, beaten away by defence which has already conceded 35 league goals this season. Well, as so often happens, after all the pressure, it was Barnsley who conceded the first goal. Tommy Wright catching everyone, including our cameraman, with the speed of his shot which beat Clive Baker. Tommy Wright, the former Leeds man who'd scored earlier in the week, getting his second to take Leicester a goal ahead. But within 5 minutes, Barnsley had showed the resilient side of their nature. Brian McCord, who plays the ball in. Ian Banks with the header. Kept out, but Brendan O'Connell there to follow it in for a point-saving goal. Barnsley 1, Leicester City 1.
Plenty of entertainment at Boothbury Park, where Ipswich began 7 points and 10 places above Hull. The home team should have opened the scoring here, though. Finnegan sending in Dave Bamber. Craig Forrest getting down well. Now, even Ian Hesford's best mate wouldn't claim he creates many goals for Hull. But watch this. Hesford's long clearance, Bamber's head, Payton's anticipation, 1-0. 5 minutes from half-time. Actually, if you didn't have this one marked down as a goal-packed thriller, you've got a short memory. It's only 6 months since Hull beat Ipswich 4-3. It took the men from East Anglia only 8 minutes of the second half to get on the score sheet. A warning across Hesford's bows first. Yallop's cross finding Redford's head into the side netting. And a few minutes later, the Ipswich fans had something more positive to admire. Good move worked down the right by number 3 Zondervan and 4 Stockwell. Alarming gaps really in the Hull defence. And Stockwell with the final pass to Jason Dazelle. Within a minute, Hull were back in front. Hockaday's free kick catches Forrest in no man's land, and Payton really does have that striker's gift for being in the right place at the right time. That takes him to 11 goals for the season, level with David Hurst 2 behind Steve Bull. Ipswich weren't finished though, far from it. Zondervan's cross, in goes Redford. 2-2, 66 minutes. Not sure if Redford got the final touch, but he'll certainly claim it. 10 minutes to go and the Hull defence were breached down the right yet again. Zondervan turning Jacobs with some ease and Kiwamia's header. Ipswich apparently heading for their 3rd away win of the season. And compared with Hesford, your average parrot probably feels positively healthy. At this point, Hull brought on substitute Ian McParland and it worked. His equaliser with 7 minutes left. Hull City 3, Ipswich 3.
But we didn't have a winner in the 2nd division. All in all, it was a very unproductive day for the region. And Wednesday are losing touch with leaders Oldham, who whipped Watford. They're 9 points behind them, 5 behind West Ham, and only 2 clear of Middlesbrough and Wolves. Barnsley have slipped to 9. Hull's position, just above the bottom 3, can be traced to 6 draws, yet one single win could move them up several places. Pre-season promotion favourites Newcastle haven't won in 11 games.
In Division 3, Bradford are on a good run, 3 wins and a draw in their last 5 league games. But long-range efforts like this one from captain Robbie James were the best they had to offer in the first half hour against Preston. The Lancashire side, 8th from bottom, were no great shakes themselves, but went in front nonetheless on 25 minutes. The ball not cleared by Jewell and put into the net by Ian Bogey by some margin, the most impressive player on the field. Without Stewart and with Leonard only on the substitutes bench, Bradford looked a bit lightweight in attack, very much reliant on Robbie James, the captain. From his cross, Jewell going close. Well, Leonard came on for the second half and Bradford looked altogether livelier, but they had to be grateful to the referee. Leonard's header and the goalkeeper here are judged to have brought down McCarthy. He can't believe it. The referee, though, is adamant, and Bradford given the chance to come back into the game. Tinian accepts it. And Bradford looked a different side after that, and the winner came just 10 minutes later. Lee Duxbury, who looked a great deal brighter in the second half than the first. It's his cross, Mark Leonard's header, and McCarthy can simply follow the ball into the net. Bradford 2, Preston 1.
It was good to see Huddersfield Town in lively mood against Cambridge. Peter Jackson, back after injury, began one flowing move which involved Chris Marsden, Robert Wilson and Mark Smith. Ife Onyora there at the end of it, but still couldn't achieve the breakthrough. That wasn't long delayed though. Cambridge have the best away record in the country, but Ewan Roberts sent them on their way to their first defeat in 16 matches away from home, only scrambling the ball in. Ife Onyora has excellent close control for such a big lad, and his weaving run here had the crowd anticipating what would have been a contender for goal of the season, if only he'd finished it off. Crestfallen Ife Onyora, but he was to have a hand in Town's second goal. Steve Hardwick's clearance kick. Onyora onto Mark Smith, and a delightful pass through the middle, opening up the Cambridge defence, and Chris Marsden showing superb skill in rounding off in the grand manner. And 5 minutes later, the issue was put beyond doubt. Again, Ife Onyora involved, getting into the penalty area, bundled over by Chappell. Referee says that's a penalty. And Kieran Regan just can't miss. Spot on, his 6th of the season, and a hat-trick of penalties for him inside a week. Cambridge's only success didn't occur until 3 minutes from time. Steve Claridge rolling the shot under Hardwick to make it. Huddersfield Town 3, Cambridge United 1. And it was the best day of the season for the region, unless you happen to be a Rotherham fan. They went down 4-2 at Bournemouth and had Robinson sent off. Grimsby scored a notable win at Tranmere, Mansfield's home jinx broken. That Grimsby success wasn't sufficient to take them back to the top, but they put the squeeze on Southend, who only drew at home. Huddersfield and Bradford making encouraging progress have broken into the top 10. Mansfield and Rotherham propping up the rest, the Millers 3 points adrift. But at least Mansfield's first home win will give them belief they can climb out of trouble with 2/3 of the season left.
In Division 4, Peterborough and Doncaster have things in common. Both started with 23 points, both have a Bremner, and Kevin for Peterborough was only denied by the woodwork from spoiling the afternoon of Billy, the Doncaster manager, in the first half. Peterborough, of course, don't have a manager. Mark Lawrenson resigned on Friday. Former Grimsby boss Dave Booth is in charge for the moment, and his team got a penalty on 54 minutes. Now, McElhenney certainly seemed to make the most of Styles' challenge here. The referee, Arthur Smith from Birmingham, was convinced, and Bremner's penalty brooked no argument. Doncaster, though, saved a point with 7 minutes left. Ashurst's free kick, Neil Grayson's 4th goal in 6 games. Peterborough 1, Doncaster Rovers 1.
Scunthorpe's home form has markedly improved in recent weeks, but they were shaken by Rochdale's opening effort after 12 minutes. Steve Elliott claiming the goal. When Mick Buxton's side came back at them, there was some excellent work from fullback Paul Longdon. He shows great composure here. A well-flighted cross. Unfortunately, the header didn't quite match it with its quality. The result was in doubt for a long time, but Kevin Taylor opened the door for an Andy Flounders equaliser, pouncing like all good strikers should. That was 5 minutes before the break. Rochdale then caused a few palpitations, especially with this effort, which seemed determined to stay on top of the bar. One Scunthorpe defender trying to reduce it in size. But it was Scunthorpe who eventually came out on top. Mark Lillis, Taylor and Flounders all featured in the build-up. But eventually it's New Zealand international Perry Cotton who claims the credit for what turned out to be the winner. Even then, Rochdale might have taken a point. Late on in the game, they were to be awarded a penalty for this challenge. And it seemed Terry Dolan's side had the opportunity to take something from their trip to Glanford Park, but Mickey Holmes with a shot that would have been more advantageous to Great Britain's rugby league team. Scunthorpe United 2, Rochdale 1. Scunthorpe the only winners on the day, but Scarborough, remember, did topple leaders Torquay on Friday night. Chesterfield and York both lost by the odd goal. Lincoln hammered 4-0 at Stockport. It's looking a little healthier, with Scunthorpe and Scarborough advancing a little. Doncaster just about holding on to keep in touch with the teams at the top. Scunthorpe are now only 1 win away from being in the top 3. With an unhappy quartet in the bottom half, and they did nothing to enhance their prospects over the weekend. All 4 lost, and perhaps they're already beginning to think it's a good job that this season no one will drop out of the Football League.
And one I think you'd agree, from a guy called John Harps. And a timely equaliser for Leeds United. John Pearson, former Sheffield Wednesday player, heading the ball home. The goal rush started in the second half. The first of a hat-trick for Trevor Francis. And a very good goal from David Hurst. He scored a lot already in Division 2. I think he'll score a lot more. A lovely moment coming up though for Imre Varadi. He used to play for Sheffield Wednesday as well. And then a penalty from David Hurst really sealed the game for Sheffield Wednesday. And Trevor Francis made it worse. That's 5-2. Trevor Francis again. 6-2, nice save. And the final goal was scored by Brian Mooney. There it is, 7-3.
Burrows with the interception. Houghton.
Nice knockdown. But Spennymoor, who come from Sunderland, got one back against the run of play. Don Peaty, the scorer. Chesterfield retook the lead courtesy of a dreadful mix-up in the Spennymoor United defence. Ian Potts an own goal. And then the third, lovely individual skill from Dave Caldwell. The game finished 3-2 to Chesterfield. At the Shea, Halifax took on Wrexham. Steve Norris jinxed through to score after just 2 minutes. Later on, though, he missed a penalty.
But they have a fine cup-fighting history, and today, home advantage, all of which counted for nothing as Alan Somerville's floated free kick bemused everyone to put Leek ahead. Six minutes into the second half, and it was 2. Dave Sutton's neat chip confirming a famous victory. The record books still have a place of honour for Bury. Their 6-0 cup final victory over Derby remains the most emphatic ever. But this afternoon, Chorley of the HFS Loans League were destined to ruin a proud tradition from the moment John Aspinall scrambled them into the lead. 5 minutes later, the tie was effectively settled as Paul Moss rose to score with a splendid header. Though they got one back in the late rally, Bury, twice winners of the Cup, were on their way out. So too were another third division side, Reading. Colchester, relegated from the league last season, dimmed memories of that trauma when Neil Marmon darted in for their winner. But sometimes romance turns sour, even in the FA Cup, and for none more than Littlehampton of the Sussex League. In the first round, for the first time, against Northampton, they lost Russell Cox in the first half through sheer recklessness. His sending off allowed Northampton...
Round the challenge, the perfect provider, and the great finish from Gordon Strachan. And he strikes
early on. It's a painful thought, but the Blades' plight could be even worse if it wasn't for Simon Tracy's form in goal. Gary Pallister denied this time. Well, there's no doubting it, when you're down, the luck really does seem to run against you. If you don't believe me, look at this. Dean running into space on the left flank. His ball into the box, met by Brian Marwood. Les Seeley, a mightily relieved man. That was certainly Sheffield's best first half moment. At the other end, neat play between Hughes, Webb, McClare and Hughes again. An ominous sign of things to come. Into the second half now, and Sheffield still showing plenty of guts and determination. Marwood sprinting onto a lovely ball over the top from Paul Beasley. A measured cross coming up. Perfect knockdown by Dean. And Carl Bradshaw wastes a really golden opportunity. But Alex Ferguson's men were beginning to dominate now. Great piece of individual play here from Paul Ince. A waspish shot, Tracy saving superbly. The Blades' stout resistance finally crumbled on 65 minutes. From the corner, they just can't clear their lines. Watch out for some great control from Ince here. A dart into the area. Hughes through to Webb, and it's Steve Bruce at the far post. Relief then for United, but for Dave Bassett's men, the feeling that somehow they've seen it all before. Most of the 46,000 at Old Trafford were scenting blood now. Danny Wallace with a shot, another excellent stop from Tracy. Mark Morris scrambling it away. The second goal had to come, and the coup de grace duly came with 5 minutes left. Webb's pass to Wallace. Mark Hughes does the rest at the near post. The nightmare continues. Sheffield United still looking for a First Division victory.
Sheffield Wednesday to rediscover the art of winning in the Second Division. John Sheridan the first to test Swindon goalkeeper Fraser Digby. Despite Ron Atkinson's public warning that there may be changes, the team was pretty much as usual. Wilson's corner bringing a header from Nigel Pearson. That was blocked. His second chance deflected for a corner. It looked like being the old story of missed chances. Wilson and Williams the next to open the way for a clear-cut David Hurst header, saved again by Digby. But Wednesday duly got their reward 9 minutes before half-time. Wilson and fullback John Harkes worked the flank well, and Carlton Palmer was probably the only man on the field who would have got over the cross, which left Paul Williams a simple header. Williams, whose place had been under most threat from Trevor Francis, scoring his first goal in 7 matches. The second half was a similar story. Chances came and went. The best inadvertently presented to Hurst, again foiled by Digby. Hurst hasn't found the net in 5 matches now. He keeps plugging away though, but this is one of those spells when the ball just won't go in. Danny Wilson knows the feeling too. It wasn't until the 70th minute that Wednesday's pressure eventually produced a second goal, Worthington's free kick causing panic, and Pearson, who'd threatened to add to his season's tally of 5 all afternoon, scored against Swindon for the second time in less than 2 weeks. Some consolation for Swindon. Bodin pulling the ball back for Irish international Alan McLaughlin to make the final score, Sheffield Wednesday 2, Swindon Town 1.
Keeper John Burridge was in no mood to accommodate them. Jim Dobbins.
So when Ian Hesford brought down ex-Halifax striker Wayne Allison at Bristol City, the portents were not good. Hesford redeemed himself temporarily by saving Smith's spot kick. But Bristol forged into the lead before half-time. The move prompted down the left. And it ends with a delightful tee-up for the former Huddersfield man Andy May to rattle in his first goal since leaving Leeds Road. Left unmarked to score a poor goal from a Hull point of view. All was not lost though, especially when City came back straight away. Wayne Jacobs and Lee Jenkinson combining neatly, and Tony Finnegan rounding it off with his first goal since his Crystal Palace days 4 years ago. Any thoughts of a Hull revival were squashed in the last 90 seconds though, as Bristol scored twice to give a completely different aspect to the final scoreline. This one by Nicky Morgan left Hull in shreds, well and truly beaten. Bristol City 4, Hull City 1.
Now down to Portsmouth for a rare glimpse at Middlesbrough. Fullback Colin Cooper testing Andy Gosney from long range. Well, he may smile. There were no more lighter moments for Pompey as Borough proceeded to underline their promotion credentials. Ian Baird's header kept out brilliantly by Gosney, only for top scorer Bernie Slavin to slide home the loose ball. Slavin, of course, back in action after a very public row with boss Colin Todd a week ago. Borough went further ahead just after the hour mark, and watch now for a great solo effort from former Leeds striker Ian Baird. Fratton Park, of course, another of Baird's old stamping grounds. Another ex-Leeds man, John Hendry, involved in the third goal. His driven cross turned into his own net by defender Gary Stevens. Portsmouth 0, Middlesbrough 3.
The day went very much to form. Sheffield Wednesday back to winning ways, Barnsley sharing the points for the 6th time and Hull losing for the 6th time away. With Oldham beaten at last after 17 league outings, Wednesday...
all young midfield players should watch that. You play the ball and you keep going and see, and that was a lovely goal by Howes coming in. You may say that Everton...
It's only about a yard away. Good powerful header, look at that.
I never feel an amicable man. That's right. Got no worries financially, got a pension and policy.
With a pension from Scottish Amicable, you won't have to worry. What?
There was a warm welcome at Highfield Road for Coventry's new player-manager Terry Butcher, who installed himself in a 5-man defence with Trevor Peake retaining the captaincy. Butcher's first contribution was to launch a free kick to the edge of Liverpool's penalty area, the champions at 6s and 7s. Kevin Gallagher's low shot left Grobbelaar motionless, only to rebound off the post. And Butcher was quick to find out Coventry's big problem. They don't take their chances. They've only 2 penalty goals to show for 6 weeks of league football. He certainly can't let Liverpool off the hook. 73 minutes gone, Ray Houghton's short-range cross-come shot was going straight to Agrizovic until Butcher intervened. Peter Beardsley poaching his 11th league goal of the season. Peter Reid did the opposite to Terry Butcher and left himself out of the Manchester City lineup for his first game in charge since getting the City job on a permanent basis. Adrian Heath's short strides making big inroads into the Luton defence. David White taking over when it mattered for his 4th in 6 games. Now here's a little number worked out on the training ground. But I wonder how many times Steve Redmond has connected quite like that. City looked to be cruising towards their first away win when the pattern of the game changed. Richard Harvey's cross for Ian Dowie, who only seems to score at home. Then in the last minute, Dowie was bundled over by Colin Hendry to give Luton a hotly disputed penalty. It wasn't so much the decision that caused a fracas, it was John Dreher's kick. Bit of a con job, but the quick thinking paid off. Arsenal must be wondering what on earth they've got to do if there's to be another photo finish to the league season as there was 2 years ago. It's their best start for 40 years. Perry Groves to Paul Merson for number 1. Now, with a defence that hasn't been breached for 6 games, it's more of a luxury than a necessity when Arsenal get 4. And as Limpar's first touch was brilliant, his second just about powerful enough to sneak in. George Graham had toyed with the idea of recalling David Rocastle, but Perry Groves fully justified the manager's alternative selection. A picture goal this, Alan Smith's first in the league this season. And having waited 3 months for that moment, Smith only had to wait a further 20 minutes for his second. Nowhere near as spectacular, but Smith couldn't care less. Arsenal a point better off than they were this time last week. Crystal Palace have been finding goals and wins hard to come by, so they must have really appreciated the space afforded to Andy Gray and Paul Parker's assist, although Ian Wright will no doubt be claiming it. You don't often see Don Howe teams defending like that. They've been in even deeper trouble without the goals of Roy Wegerle. Wegley heading in his 11th of the season from Simon Barker's cleverly worked cross. But Palace picked up their second win in 6 games when Thorne flicked on McGoldrick's corner. Ian Wright needing no assistance to convert from that sort of range. His 8th of the season. Sheffield United held out for an hour or so, but once they went a goal behind, it was as good as over. Patient build-up by Manchester United. Steve Bruce with his 6th of the season. Without a win, 5 games without a goal, Dave Bassett must be reaching the stage where a phone call to Lenny Lawrence wouldn't go amiss. Topic of conversation, escapology. Definitely no escape at Old Trafford when Mark Hughes made it 2 with a minute left. Leeds are the form team of the First Division at present. Great to watch, murder to play against. 9 goals in 3 games, Lee Chapman's 5th in 6. Could have been a lot worse for Derby, whose problem is scoring goals, not stopping them. But there was nothing Wright, Shilton and co could do about this. Didn't even know Chapman could do this. A real gem of a goal from that little diamond, Gordon Strachan. Carl Schutt was involved in all 3 Leeds goals. Played well at Main Road last week as well. Pulling defenders out of the middle and then putting the ball into one of the vacated areas. Gary Speed doing the rest. It's not vintage Forest yet, but a couple of fine goals nonetheless against a hard-working Sunderland side. Steve Chettle with his Stuart Pearce impression. For Nigel Clough, it was first time out against the club his dad used to play for. Nigel's 2nd of the season was beautifully done, and with Graham Taylor watching as well, the England manager a big fan of Cloughy Jr. Having lost 6 of their first 8 games, Norwich appear to have got their act together. Ian Crook firing them in front as early as the 3rd minute. Now Derek Manfield ought to go on holiday or something for Norwich games. 2 own goals against them last season. His foul on Dale Gordon there judged to be of the cynical variety. Red card, early back. Now Ruel Fox started the move for number 2, combining with Dale Gordon. This is Gordon. This is Fox. This is Gordon again. Now keep an eye on Fox, who never stops running, making his way to the edge of the penalty area before getting it back from Gordon and hitting a cross shot past Nigel Spink. Norwich 11 points out of the last 15 available. Wimbledon hadn't won at home, Chelsea hadn't won away. Peter Nicholas's extraordinary own goal after a minute gave everyone the distinct impression it was the Dons who'd be heading for a first. Wimbledon had actually drawn their 4 previous games at home, so it was relief as much as anything else that greeted Terry Gibson's first of the season. Alan Cork playing it into the near post. Gibson doing what he does so well. Well, Chelsea managed to pull one back 10 minutes.
And Dennis Wise for 1.6, raising Chelsea hopes of a championship challenge. But as yet, all is not well as both players settle into the new surroundings. How does it...
Another well-played ball here. This is little Wallace, isn't it? Into Mark Hughes.
Turnovers against Port Vale. All the action, Jimmy, coming in the last 5 minutes.
Indeed, yes.
Penalty
Darren Collier was booked for Brink. Now, should he have gone off?
Oh,
the professional foul, we have to ask ourselves.
Ray Walker with the penalty.
And the ball went in the back of the net.
As I say, that was 85 minutes, and directly from the kick-off.
Yeah, a minute later, in fact, wasn't
up
it?
the other end it went.
Yeah.
And what a good goal, Lenny John Rose.
Yes, yeah.
Come on as a substitute, so 1-1 there. Now, Hull against Leicester. High-scoring game, this one.
Well, the worst 2 defences in the league, and there's poor old Terry Fenwick not controlling it right. And number 1 goes in by Andy Payton after 2 minutes.
Second coming up. This big fella, Peter Swan,
Yeah.
I've watched him playing, funny enough, in a reserve match for Hull. He played in the defence that day, but he can play either position, and a big, strong one.
Well, with defences, these 2 having the worst defensive record in football in Division 2 here, it wasn't surprising, but that was an extremely well-taken goal by Mark North there.
Lovely.
Very well taken.
Nice goal.
And now another penalty coming up, folks. Now, was this a foul? Get him off, ref. That was a foul, wasn't it?
I don't think you could complain about that one.
No. And there we are. Lee Palin 3-1 at half-time. And into the second half, and didn't the crowd roar as Lee Palin knocks in number 4. Going well, isn't it?
Piling on the agony.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
yeah. This big Swanee
again,
yeah,
makes it 5.
Yeah.
Oh, nice goal.
Well, and it's all over.
Well, it was all
is
over.
it all over? Because in the last few seconds of a dying game, the ball comes across, and yeah.
Jimmy Cooper starts his run, drives it forward. Oh, he scored! Engine conditions now quite dramatic. The rain pouring down. Rangers pouring forward. It's Ali McCoy. Oh, Johnston! Harry Stevens, he must score! Oh, brilliant goal! Quickly closed down by Vinicum. Cooper, the chance! And Patterson's up there. Greg Patterson. Well swept away to Ali McCoist. Rangers pouring out of the fence. McCoist and Johnston.
European Championship qualifier with an improving Greek side. There were team changes and a change of luck. Van Schip created the opener for Dennis Bergkamp after just 7 minutes. Koeman, Hullett and Riker.
Back in there, it came back yet again from a Barnsley man. Cook, the crowd really went up in arms there at the challenge of Ashley, I think. The ball forward now. Oh, that's where it happened. He really went into the back of Saville there. And what colour of card will Mr. Wilkie produce? That's the question. And it's a red card. And Kevin Ashley is sent.
It involved Gordon Strachan, and this was no exception. The final cross from Carl Schutt, and the scorer, that'll be Lee Chapman, on target for the 5th game in a row. They're getting used to this, but they still enjoy it. Reward for a thoroughly impressive point under Terry Butcher with a goal just past the hour. Chris Fairclough with a vital slip. Kevin Gallagher with a cool piece of finishing. Coventry 1, Leeds 1.
Sheffield United's misery continued in a match they simply had to win against Sunderland. And what a tragedy rather than comedy of errors led to Marco Gabbiadini's first goal. It was Beasley's back pass. Vinnie Jones was then left absolutely standing, and Simon Tracy left groping. That's after United had really had the better of the game to that point. But there was worse to come. The long ball through the middle, there looks to be no danger at all, but Beasley, again the culprit, present number 2 for Gabbiadini, that in the last minute, and so the nightmare goes on. Sheffield United 0, Sunderland 2. With Liverpool held by Manchester City and Arsenal winning at QPR, the gap at the top was closed. Leeds well in touch, and Manchester United meet Chelsea this afternoon. Sheffield United's paltry total of just 6 goals from 14 matches keeps them marooned behind QPR and Everton. Spurs are due at Bramall Lane on Tuesday in the Rumbelows Cup. Derby, the next visitors in the league.
In Division 2, Ron Atkinson was booed to his seat on his first trip to the Hawthorn since leaving West Brom for Atletico Madrid 2 years ago. And within 21 minutes, his Sheffield Wednesday team were a goal down. McNally's volley comes back off the bar. Gary Robson takes full advantage. Wednesday's best chance to equalise before the break fell to David Hurst, but at the moment the goals just aren't going in for him. 6 blank games now. You get the feeling some unfortunate defence might soon suffer for it. In this game, West Brom suffered for trying to sit on their lead. They probably thought they got away with it, still 1 up with 4 minutes left. Not so. Ron Atkinson had thrown Trevor Francis into the fray. He'll be glad he did. The former England man never used to think of himself as a super sub, but what a valuable signing he's proved. And there was more. The other man returning to the Hawthorns, Carlton Palmer, flicked on a corner for Peter Shirtliff. And look at the reactions. After all the frustrations of
Plymouth, Sheffield Wednesday still have a game in hand. Middlesbrough, who scored 5 at Oxford, may be the only team to worry about. Hull's nap hand lifted them above Leicester.
And there the afternoon celebrations ended for the Mariners. The wide open spaces of Blundell Park doesn't have quite the ring to it of the equivalent phrase involving Wembley, but Bolton found plenty of them to take the lead through Scott Green on 24 minutes. Bolton are on a good run actually, 14 points from their previous 6 matches after a poor start to the season, but Grimsby looked on top after the break without any luck at all. Sean Cunnington here, convinced he should have had a penalty. The referee disagreed, and then an even narrower escape for the Lancashire team. Jobling's cross Nodded onto his own post by Mark Stanley, and you can see goalkeeper Felgate's sigh of relief from 50 yards. Still, Grimsby surged forward to try to save their unbeaten home record, but Felgate was equal to everything, even this effort from John Cockrell. Grimsby 0, Bolton 1.
The battle of the third division's bottom two at Millmoor saw Mansfield enjoy the better of the first half against Rotherham. Stringfellow and Kent set up the first goal on 32 minutes. The header parried by Mercer, Steve Charles there to pounce. Rotherham's finishing has been letting them down all season, and that back header almost provided them with an equaliser. That eventually came from Scott's free kick, Stuart Evans using all his 6'4" advantage to nod it in. And that was the way it stayed. Rotherham 1, Mansfield 1. What a dreadful day for the region. Grimsby's defeat unexpected, but the rest struggling to make an impact. Huddersfield led until the last minute at Preston. Bradford figured in a goalless draw at Crewe. Grimsby's defeat was made even more costly by Southend's impressive victory at Reading. For the first time in weeks, there's a bit of daylight between the two at the head of the table. Huddersfield and Bradford just sneak into the top half. Well, the same can't be said for Mansfield.
200 people to boo them present. And you can see one reason, the awful weather. York's awful home form is another, only one win in 6 games. Nigel Pepper here, almost doing something to improve that. Good save by Beresford from the former Rotherham man. And then a really fine individual effort by young John McCarthy. A difficult first season for him in a struggling team, but he keeps going here, and he thinks his shot's going in. Inches, in fact, from his first league goal. And York were punished with 14 minutes to go by one of the 4th Division's more consistent goal scorers, Bobby Barnes. 2 in the cup last Saturday, and the match winner here from Wilson's cross. York City 0, lost.
Darlington, who ominously took the lead after only 4 minutes at Sinsel Bank. Michael Trotter setting it up, then Andy Toman brought down to win the penalty. Gary Gill duly dispatched it. The second goal just before the half hour, though, was a little less clear-cut. Kevin Smith's back header from the corner, apparently crossing the line before the clearance. The goal was given, nobody complained. Lincoln's best effort came from Bolson, a weaving run and a left-footed shot that deserved better reward. But the game went out of reach for Lincoln with Darlington's third goal after 56 minutes. Gill initially involved, then Steve Mardenborough flighting the ball across after teasing the full-back, and Lee Ellison steering the header in for a personally memorable moment, his first ever.
Grayson goal, but Halifax lost at Burnley, Scarborough at Hartlepool, and Scunthorpe at Redhill. Hampton's win at York closes the gap at the top to a point. Scunthorpe and Scarborough missed it.
United's forte over the past 12 months has been responding to one-off occasions. They haven't lost a cup tie in that time. But consistency in the league is still proving elusive for the country's best supported club. The millions invested by Alex Ferguson have kept United in touch with the top 2. The time is right for the cup specialists.
A touch, or did it come off Pallister? Either way.
Well, it looked to me as if it came off Pallister when he had a slice at it here. Perhaps his
and it could hardly have been more special. He had no support. Get back into the picture after the mighty figure of Pallister had caused the danger. What a good header, though, by Wallace.
I think Dave Besson might have been a little unhappy. Didn't get Danny Wallace had all the time in the world to control it. Have a look.
Was that a deliberate foul by Webb already this season? And Chelsea would be very grateful that Bobby Campbell decided to leave him in the side. He's an expert penalty taker. His place was under threat.
You shouldn't have said he was an expert penalty taker, Alan.
A contest that went the full distance. Even Kenny Dalglish admitted that Liverpool were fortunate to survive. Grobler, hobbling for most of the match, produced a couple of fantastic saves. Following the first, Whelan's outstretched leg caught Ward, and the same player stepped up to score his 5th penalty of the season, hitting an unstoppable shot that Grobler almost stopped. The league's only 100% home record looked vulnerable. Up until the last 8 minutes, Liverpool never really looked like scoring. But never say never at Anfield. Ian Rush's 13th of the season could have been a right hook. City thought so. 4 minutes later, with City on the ropes, Ian Brightwell's fly kick fell into the path of substitute Ronnie Rosenthal, and in front of the Kop, where super sub's a legend, he delivered what everyone probably thought was the knockout blow. City were down but not out. Battered and bruised in the dying minutes, they produced a stunning final flourish in the shape of a magnificent header by Niall Quinn. Arsenal, the only other team yet to suffer defeat this season, went behind at Queen's Park Rangers when Tony Adams lost patience with Roy Wegley's meanderings and conceded a fairly needless penalty. Wegley's kick was the first goal conceded by David Seaman in 7 games. Wegley's 12th of the season. Arsenal's goals, 3 in the last 12 minutes, lacked the style of their overall performance, which delighted George Graham. Adams had a crack, Smith was in there, Merson it was who made sure. Their second, and the goal that really knocked the stuffing out of Rangers, was the best of the 3. Nigel Winterburn down the left, Kevin Campbell involved, Alan Smith turning smartly for his 3rd in 2 games. It was Rangers' 50 feet in a row. Kevin Campbell, Arsenal sub, made the most of David Barnsley's slip-up. 15 goals conceded in 5 games, Rangers. At the moment, they're the First Division's fall guys. Bobby Campbell, the Chelsea manager, chose to go to Spurs yesterday and was convinced of a double handball for goal number 1. Stewart there in controlling the initial pass, then Lineker before scoring. Culverhouse, Bowen and Crook were all returning to White Hart Lane with Norwich, and it was Crook who came up with the equaliser, catching Torsved napping and adding to Terry Venables' belief that Spurs should never have sold him in the first place. Tottenham's winner was a Lineker classic. The early ball, Stewart's header, Gary doing the rest with an economy of effort and maximum style. An own goal of Willie Donachie vintage after 30 seconds. One of the quickest on record in the First Division, gave Southampton the lead. Richard Shaw and Nigel Martin on totally different wavelengths. Goes down as just one of those things. But the thing about Palace is their ability to overcome setbacks. Steve Coppell's side has tremendous character, and he's delighted with the way they're playing at the moment. Ian Wright bang on form with the equaliser, and the first of 3 goals in a 5-minute spell. Wright's second was a beauty, and a real contrast in style to the first. Jeff Thomas powering through and setting up Wright for his 10th of the season. A minute later, Southampton were back on level terms. Paul Rideout taking Mickey Adams' cross on his chest and knocking the ball in with his studs. 1 goal was to settle it after the break, not the prettiest you'll ever see, and one the Saint is likely to discard on the first ballot, but Mark Bright from close range gave Palace their 4th away win. When Lee Chapman scores first, Leeds United tend to win. Gordon Strachan and Carl Shutt inevitably involved in the build-up. Ogrizovic prevented it being a classic, but Chapman's instincts made it a very satisfying striker's goal. But on this occasion, Leeds couldn't capitalise on the advantage, their winning streak coming to an end when Chris Fairclough dillied and dallied, and Kevin Gallagher earned Terry Butcher his first point as Coventry's player-manager. All of a sudden, it's home sweet home for Wimbledon. They won at Plough Lane for the first time last week and found Everton fairly easy victims this time around. Warren Barton's precise header was his first for the club since his £300,000 move from Maidstone. Wimbledon played some good football, actually, and outplayed Everton. That was Barton's long cross to McGee, whose cross-in found Gibson totally unmarked and Everton in total disarray. Little Terry's second in successive games once again proved decisive because Everton scored before the end. Sheedy's free kick led to Roger Joseph conceding a penalty. Sheedy's next effort from closer range was about the most decisive thing Everton produced all afternoon. Villa are developing bad habits. Only 1 goal in 6 games, and a defence that looked impenetrable a few weeks ago is leaking silly goals. Elstrup's header found Kingsley Black in acres of room. Both sides without a win in 5 beforehand. Luton sealed it with 6 minutes to go when David Priest pulled it back for Elstrup to score his 7th in the league this season. Forest normally win these East Midlands derbies, so it was no surprise when they went in front. Steve Chettle scoring for the 2nd successive Saturday. So for Derby to turn things round, it meant they had to score twice in a game for only the 2nd time this season. But Gary Micklewhite was contributing well down the right. and substitute Craig Ramage came up with an equaliser 3 minutes later. Derby's winner on the hour is a real contender for goal of the day. Micklewhite on the run and sending over an inviting cross that Dean Saunders dispatched brilliantly. His 8th of the season, none better. If you don't score, you don't win games. Sheffield United have now gone 6 without, and they're still the only side in the league without a win. What's more, when you commit harry-carry in the last quarter of the game, in the last quarter of the pitch, you don't deserve to win. Marco Gabbiadini putting Sunderland in front after 70 minutes, although Peter Davenport did look suspiciously offside. But from Sheffield United's point of view, the worst was yet to come. Paul Beasley, the culprit, Gabbiadini again the executioner. Sunderland's first away win. Embarrassment for Beasley.
Stay in the visiting room as long as you want, Mrs. Crosby. The warden's ordered.
Footed player, and the goals he scores are with either foot, which is terrific. I mean, this one, he dragged across and then hit it. A real smacker with his left foot.
He's fitted, and it was Cambridge that opened up the scoring. Dion Dublin here, but I'm not sure about it.
I think he tried to bring that down.
When they're going in for you, they're going in, aren't they?
That was after 2 minutes.
Yes, indeed, it was, and it took Crewe 30 before Paul Clayton
got it across and defence him with a deflection. Or was it a deflection?
I don't know, it might have gone through. It might have been a nutmeg's job, that. But here we are after 44 minutes. This is a good goal, this great cross. Steve Claridge there on the end of it. Can't argue with that.
It was a lovely goal.
It was a well-manufactured goal.
So that was a minute before half-time, and a minute after half-time, Neil Lennon for Crewe to level the score.
So that's it, 2-2. Incredible, yeah. And then Crewe Alexandra will go into the lead for the first time. Here they come there. Craig Hignett. Oh,
Ex-Liverpool boy, Craig Hignett.
Yeah. But they fight back. Cambridge United, this is a good bit of skill here, because he stood on his feet well there, did John Taylor, and Tony Dennis knocked it in. 3-3.
3-3, and Cambridge with a winner.
And there you are, Crewe.
There's Mo Johnston! Oh, what a blunder in the Celtic defence! Well, Celtic have everyone forward again. Collins with the free kick. Elliott's there! Oh, Elliott! Moving play on as Unluck made the challenge. On Filton, now it's through to...
If Bell allowed German star Rudi Voller to score the first of his 3 goals as Roma thrashed troubled French side Bordeaux. Voller's second came on the stroke of half-time from the penalty spot. And another defensive error gave Voller his hat-trick 10 minutes into the second half. Confusion between defender and keeper allowed the German to score. Manuel Gerelin also got in on the goal-scoring act. His first a superb sliding volley from a tight angle. Then, 15 minutes from time, a well-directed header from Voller's cross completed Bordeaux's misery. 5-0 then to Roma. But it wasn't a good night for the Italians in Austria. After knocking out Hearts in the last round, Bologna went down 3-0 to Admira Wacker. Getchening gave the home side a 31st minute lead, a great shot from 30 yards. Ewan Muller put the Austrians well and truly into the driving seat 10 minutes before the break. And Getchening was back to round off the scoring in the second half, this time the chance laid on by fullback Dotzel. So more disappointment for Bologna. They're second from bottom of the Italian league, and they'll need another Hart-style...
And that was where the push happened. That is a typical poacher's goal. I was just saying that Wednesday could do with a second... An awful long time to say penalty, but I must admit I thought there was a hand in there. Well, this is quite extraordinary. The first half we had a penalty in the first minute. In the second half we've got one in the second minute. That was where it happened. Referee has awarded Wednesday a free kick. County thought they were back on level terms. Regis will always pose problems because of his speed, and he really has a tussle with Phil King here. Bartlett. He takes the hand clap, and County...
Leeds goals. His free kick nodded on by Sterland. McAllister gets to the byline. The defence is too worried about Chapman to cover Chris Fairclough beyond the far post. The referee ruled the ball had crossed the line. 5 minutes gone. Southampton caught in a whirlwind. Within 10 minutes, it was 2-0. White nodding on Sterland's throw for Carl Shutt, and Leeds looked home and dry, even if Chapman couldn't score for a record 7th game in a row. In fact, Southampton, and in particular number 10, Paul Rideout here, had other ideas. In the end, it was Leeds who were hanging on and had goalkeeper Lukic to thank for not conceding more than the 1 goal. Rideout converting Letizier's cross to finish the move he started. Leeds 2, Southampton 1.
Sheffield United's start has been the worst in First Division history, and the tidings were not good from Villa Park, especially when Ian Ormonroyd flicked on Cowan's corner for David Platt to head in and showers that by now famous double-arm salute. This was United's 15th attempt to win a First Division fixture, and recent form suggested this might just be their day, especially when Vinnie Jones thumped in a header from John Gannon's corner. But when you're down, nothing goes your way, and it was Villa who've done little right since their European set-to with Inter Milan, who pinched the points in the end. Gannon's clearance went straight to former Bradford man Ormonroyd. His pass opened up United down the right, and Chris Price, a prolific scorer from full-back, obliged. United have to wait at least another week for that elusive win. Aston Villa 2, Sheffield United 1. The runaway top two meet today at Highbury on the match. Crystal Palace have jumped above Spurs, and Leeds United's consistency is reflected in their position just above the Mancunians. Sheffield United need any solace they can get. Well, the 5 clubs immediately above them all lost as well. And next week's visitors to Bramall Lane are Derby County, who might just be the first ones to surrender.
In Division 2, Hull's prospects of their second away win of the season never looked good against a Middlesbrough team exuding confidence. No one more so than Bernie Slavin. Hull here really failing to get in a proper challenge on him. We saw some awful Middlesbrough back passes against Barnsley a month ago. Here's another belter from Paul Kerr. Andy Payton seems, if anything, almost too confident of netting his 14th goal of the season. 8 minutes into the second half, Middlesbrough went in front. John Hendry's return pass sending Colin Cooper away. From his cross, it's Kerr's header. Hesford gets the punch above Robbie Mustoe, but it only comes as far as Ian Baird, and David Mayle can't stop it on the line. Baird went off after that, but his replacement Ripley created the next goal for Bernie Slavin. He and Baird are in a real purple patch, 13 goals between them in the last 6 games. Desperation time for Hull. Sweeper Gareth Roberts was sent forward, and from Wayne Jacobs' cross, Roberts came as close as anyone to scoring. Hull's misery, though, was complete 3 minutes from time. Mayle's back pass right out of the Middlesbrough textbook, seized on by Bernie Slavin. He's running out of ideas, but Kerr arrives bang on cue. Hull's 7th away defeat out of 10, Middlesbrough 3, Hull 0. Not a great day then in Division 2, just a point apiece for Wednesday and for Barnsley, who failed to make their superiority count in a goalless game at Watford. Barnsley stay 8th though, because all 4 teams immediately above them also drew, including Wednesday, who are overtaken by Middlesbrough. Ron Atkinson's men now 7 points behind West Ham, who beat West Brom 3-1. At the bottom, it was a particularly bad day for Hull, who were the only team in the bottom 7 to lose. They dropped 2 places. Next week, they're home to Blackburn, 4 points ahead of them.
Second top against second bottom at Blundell Park, with strugglers Mansfield first to threaten. Player manager George Foster's long ball nearly producing the first goal for Steve Charles. Having lost at home to Bolton last week, Grimsby didn't want any more hiccups. John Cockerill involved inside the penalty area, and it was Jopling who only just failed to round it off. Cockerill was the one who eventually brought about the breakthrough. His dash into the box ended by this combined tackle, which the referee could hardly ignore. Dave Gilbert rattled in his 5th of the season from the penalty spot. Grimsby do attack from all angles and have so many players capable of putting the ball in the net. That seemed the likely destiny after the neat approach work of Jobling and Rees. But Gary Childs pulled it wide of the mark this time. The end result was predictably confirmed midway through the second half. Just like Sheffield United, Mansfield's luck is really out, and that huge ricochet landed perfectly for Gilbert to waltz his way through for his and Grimsby's second. 3 more precious promotion points in the bag. Grimsby 2, Mansfield 0.
What happens when the 3rd Division's leakiest defence meets its highest scoring attack? Well, the floodgates didn't open, but Southend won just the same. Brett Angel thought he'd scored as half-time approached, but Jerry Forrest produced an heroic clearance. The goal the leaders did score just before the hour seemed further proof that most of the luck goes to those who need it least. In fact, it's an attempted tackle by Forrest which gives a shooting chance to Ian Benjamin, and there's a big deflection off Nicky Law, the second time this season we've seen that happen to him. Rotherham 0, Southend 1. So, on a day when the third division's top two met the bottom two, the predictable outcome, Grimsby claimed the region's only points. A very good day for them, in fact, apart from Southend's win, because Stoke lost, leaving the Mariners 9 points clear of third place. Orient play today, so did 12th place Huddersfield against their West Yorkshire rivals 1 place below them, Bradford. A 12:30 kick-off, later score from Callender in a few minutes. The winners will go 6th. Rotherham and Mansfield not out of touch by any means.
York City have won only once in front of their fans all season, in the league anyway, and there were groans again when Scunthorpe's Richard Hall got up ahead of Chris Marpleston, not in the first. This was a lively game laced with plenty of good football. York's response, through Reid, Macmillan and Helliwell all contributing. An equaliser struck by Tony Canham, almost seemed to be in slow motion. And there was even better to come 7 minutes later. Scunthorpe in trouble once more, with Michael Cook involved. And Glenn Naylor, making his league debut, showed an equally deft touch to celebrate with his first goal. Cook, who'd come from Cambridge on loan earlier in the week, wearing the number 7 shirt in the absence of the suspended Nigel Pepper, was determined to get one for himself. Only the crossbar foiled him on that occasion. But just when York thought the points were theirs for the taking, Scunthorpe ruined Naylor's day. And this was another first. Gary Powell, the striker on loan from Everton, who we saw play for Lincoln on goals on Sunday recently, scored his first ever league goal. What a beauty it was. No one from York was cheering, though. It ended 2-2.
Chesterfield did a spot of recruiting in Scotland this week, and it paid off handsomely. The former Scottish international Arthur Ulverston has come on loan from Dundee, and here he is. 1-2 with Caldwell, 1-0 to Chesterfield. 3 minutes into the second half, this was just what the 3,500 were hoping for. Gillingham's sharpness on the break, though, had often looked menacing in the first half, and it brought a swift equaliser. The skillful O'Connor times his pass well to David Crown. And his striking partner, Steve Lovell, slides in for his 13th goal of the season. That's how it stayed. Chesterfield 1, Gillingham 1.
Lincoln sacked Alan Clark on Friday, replacing him with Steve Thompson as player-manager. His team responded against Scarborough, only a desperate goal-line clearance, keeping out Lormer's effort. No way of stopping John Schofield, though, not when he thrashed in the sort of shot that will earn him the nickname of Rocket Man. Lincoln didn't leave it there either. With 14 minutes left, they clinched their first victory in 6 games. Top scorer, Paul Smith, doing the damage and leaving Scarborough without a win since they toppled leaders Torquay. Lincoln 2, Scarborough 0. A happy start to management then for Steve Thompson, and a happy day too for the most experienced manager in the division, Billy Bremner. Doncaster beat Aldershot. Besides Scarborough, Halifax were the only other losers, 3-1 at Walsall. Doncaster have climbed back into the top 4. Lee Turnbull had a second-half hat-trick of headers at Bellevue. Scunthorpe are just in the top half, but still haven't won away from Glanford Park. A slight improvement at the bottom, with only Halifax of our 4 teams in the bottom 5 losing.
And one player must always remain in the opponent's half, so encouraging open play. Now this is how the pitch is laid out. Only the goalkeepers are allowed in their shaded areas. A goal can only be scored within these scoring zones, and the ball may not be played across the 2 red and white lines and the centre line, so no room for the long ball game here. The rest I'm sure you'll pick up as we look at tonight's group matches. 2 groups of 3, with 1 to qualify for the final. This is the first of the groups, with Liverpool, Aston Villa and Everton. Everton against Villa first. Here are the goals that decided it. Gerald Sinstadt is the commentator.
Here's Daly. Cascarino. On the left foot he loves. First blood to Aston Villa. Tony Cascarino. His 4th goal of the competition. One back for them by Kent Nielsen. Daly away. Nielsen available to his right. Daly didn't need him.
2-0 Villa. They take the first step to the final. Everton now face their old rivals Liverpool, needing a victory to stay in the competition.
And turned in by Barry Jones. 1-0 to Liverpool. Still Beardsley, Mulvey. And in 65 seconds of the second half, Liverpool have scored twice.
Mulvey for Liverpool, and Harkness was to add another. It was to finish 3-0, and Everton went out. And Liverpool now played Aston Villa for a place in the final.
Gray back to Cowans. Foul given against Tanner on Cascarino. No. And Tanner is sent to the sin bin for the foul. 2 minutes out of the game for Nicky Tanner. So the power play now for Aston Villa. And it'll be interesting to see how they play it. Cascarino. We've seen... Oh, came back into Muggleton's hands quite comfortably. We've seen one goal scored tonight against a short-handed team, but there haven't been many in the competition overall. Mulvey. 1-0. Mulvey followed his own wall pass in and got the benefit. Now Cascarino. Support for him from David Jones. Cascarino, great save from Muggleton, point blank. And Cascarino got the full force of his left foot behind it. Little touch from Hutchison for Beardsley didn't come off. This is Gray. Cascarino's shot and the rebound for Jones, and Jones couldn't put it away. Villa have had the chances. Cascarino. Liverpool player couldn't come back to challenge. It would have made 6 in the Liverpool half, and that's a sin bin offence. Jones' shot was blocked by Payne. Cowans for Aston Villa. Gray to his right, Cascarino to his left, and the shot goes through Muggleton, and that's 1-1. Gordon Cowans has been due one. Whenever he's seen the goal, he's let fly, and he's hit shots with great power. And the left foot that time was just too strong for the goalkeeper. Oh, what an unbelievable save from Cascarino by Muggleton. Well, he made one in the first half that was from only 2 or 3 feet. That can only mean from inches.
1 minute coming up on the clock now.
We're in the last minute. York has the ball for Villa. A goal would put them through. But if it stays 1-1, Liverpool will go into the playoff on goal difference. Looked like just a relieving anywhere, but it's come to Beardsley from the mistake by Comyn. Beardsley against 2 defenders and the goalkeeper, and hit the boards, went for the rebound, but it wasn't there for him. Last half minute we're in. Mulvey. Got a player in the sin bin, Tony Cascarino, for having come out of the Liverpool half. And so we've got a power play for Liverpool. Aston Villa short-handed, with only 12 seconds remaining, and the odds now favouring the league champions. Beardsley with the ball, 2 seconds remaining, and there's the hooter, and Liverpool go to the playoff having drawn 1-1 with Aston Villa by virtue of a better goal difference.
In confirmation of that, a draw, 1 apiece, so Liverpool the first qualifiers for the final on goal difference. And they'd face the winners of the other group, and that comprised the holders Charlton, Luton Town and Manchester United. Luton-Charlton first, Luton in command, leading 2-0 as we join it with John Motson.
This is Grit. Played in for Mortimer to shoot. One back for Charlton. It was Paul Mortimer after Carl Leeburn had set the opportunity up. A well-made goal. See big Leeburn there, just knocking it back, and Mortimer's shot in the corner. Peak. Back again to Grit. Oh, there's some space here, and it's a good opportunity for 3-1, and it's Sean Farrell.
And it finished 3-1 to Luton, so Charlton now needing a victory to stay in the competition, and they changed to all blue strip to face the home side Manchester United. We join that with Charlton leading 2-1.
Oh, Seeley again. It's Robert Lee. It's a goal for Charlton by Robert Lee. It's 3-1. Mark Robbins to Danny Wallace. Chance, goal. Danny Wallace brought United back to 3-2. Here's Mortimer. Oh, yes it is. It's Leeburn.
Charlton still with a chance. It all depended on the last match in the group, Luton against Manchester United. A win or draw for Luton, and they'd be through.
Black to Harvey. Farrell. Oh, and Elstrup, and a chance on the far side still for Black. Oh, and for Farrell, a goal. Sean Farrell has scored for Luton, and that might just be enough to wipe out the hopes of Manchester United. Even at this early stage in this match, there were 2 or 3 chances there. Elstrup had a go, Kingsley Black had a go, and finally Farrell tucked the ball in the net. It's 1-0 to Luton Town, and Manchester United now know they've got to score 4 to have a chance of qualifying outright. 3-1, there'd be a bit of calculation going on. And for that foul, we're going to see Dave... Oh, and the shot goes in from Clayton Blackmore. Dave Beaumont was on his way to the sin bin, and Manchester United equalised while Luton's backs were effectively turned. Well, there are a few of them happy now in the GMEX, because United are right back in it, and this is Clayton Blackmore, who's scored some special goals this season. Well, that one has made it 1-1 here. Most of the pressure coming in from Manchester United. Oh, good effort, Lee Martin. Crashed against the boards just beyond the far post. Here's Ratton. Good effort again, and Blackmore. And that's in. Clayton Blackmore has scored again. 2-1 to Manchester United. The goalkeeper, Pettersson, was being bombarded there. Finally, Blackmore shot. Actually. But when the second shot came in from the angle, he couldn't keep it out. Here's Dowie. Priest. Oh, and Dowie must score surely. Oh, and they've scrambled it in. Well, it looked as if Dowie had missed the chance there, but when it came back down off the plexiglass, he and Priest between them scrambled it in. It's Priest who goes first. It's Dowie who misses an open goal, but when it comes back down again, well, Dowie, I think, via the goalkeeper, but anyway, Luton have made it 2-2. And that puts a completely different complexion on the group again. Luton are now favourites to qualify, and they will be if they score here. It's Farrell, and it's Priest. Well, thrilling stuff, isn't it? And Luton Town, as the first half of this group match comes towards an end, would appear to be in with a very good chance of qualifying for the final against Liverpool. A lot would have hinged on that second Luton goal, because Manchester United were in the ascendancy until then. Here's Priest, and now it's Luton, and it's Farrell, and it's in, and surely Luton are going to go through to the final now. They lead here by 3-2. They make another substitution, and Farrell gets his second of the match. And he's away again. This is some stuff from the number 6, and he's set up unselfishly, Lars Elstrup. and Luton are running away with it. Jimmy Ryan, Lee Martin. Robbins, well, they've got one. Mark Robbins turned that in. Poacher's goal, which he tends to score. It was driven by Marijuana against the boards. Robbins scored easily. And Luton Town are home. This is Dowie trying to finish it in style. And the final score of Luton Town 4, Manchester United 3.
So Luton, 2 wins out of 2. They win the second.
Start the match, and Jan Molby and Peter Beardsley have certainly been very instrumental in the way Liverpool have played so far. As for Luton Town, well, the goals have been coming thick and fast, certainly from David Priest and Ian Dowie, and of course the Danish international Lars Elstrup is there as well. So it's 7.5 minutes each way. Should it be a draw, there would be a penalty shootout. It's Liverpool in red, it's Luton Town in white, and there's a good atmosphere for this Guinness Soccer 6 final in the GMEX Centre. Even though the local team, Manchester United, have gone out, the crowd have stayed to see what happens here between two teams who have met in cup football before. Here's David Priest looking for Lars Elstrup, notably on the artificial surface at Luton, where I remember Liverpool losing a cup tie once, so we'll see what happens tonight. A little bit of ill feeling early on between David Priest and the Liverpool number 5, Don Hutchison. Here's Priest again. Number 3 is Julian James for Luton. And number 5, Priest, has directed most of their play in the earlier matches. Dowie. Here's Elstrup. Oh, that's a good effort. And the hero for Liverpool in their second group match was undoubtedly Carl Muggleton, the goalkeeper who's on loan from Leicester City. And he was called into action pretty quickly there too. It's a corner taken by Priest. Here's Dowie. Lars Elstrup. And now James. Luton setting up play early on. Peter Beardsley left on his own in the other half because, of course, you have to keep one man up there in Soccer 6. Here's Elstrup for Luton. Muggleton down by the post. Jan Molby. Here's Nicky Tanner. Beardsley combining with Molby. And bear in mind that although Luton have a certain advantage, which there'll be even more of one now because there's going to be a sin bin. And off goes Don Hutchison into the sin bin for the challenge. He'll be off for 2 minutes and David Priest goes with him. So both teams are down to 5 men following a little scuffle there. Joe Worrell has sent both players for a 2-minute cooling down period. Luton do have an advantage of playing on this sort of surface regularly, but then again Liverpool have had a longer rest since their last game, so it should be about even really. And they've even evened things up as well with that double sin bin. It's all pretty physical down there. That was Lars Elstrup. Beardsley really has enjoyed himself tonight. This is Molby. They've got Tony Cousins free up front, number 8. And out comes 21-year-old Andy Petterson, the goalkeeper who paid his own fare over from Australia and asked Luton for a trial and has since signed a professional contract. Both teams still down to 5 men. Players in the sin bin are signing autographs presently. Back on the pitch, it's Jan Molby. Beardsley to his left. Beardsley using the boards well. Cousins unable to latch onto the rebound though. This is Kingsley Black for Luton. To number 10, David Beaumont. Beaumont, oh, it's been touched in by Farrell. What a piece of quick thinking. Sean Farrell just managed to stick a foot out and divert a shot from Beaumont that was probably going wide past the goalkeeper to put Luton Town in the lead. With 3 minutes gone in the first half, Luton are ahead. And for Farrell, that's his 4th goal of the night, and it means he's now level with Tony Cascarino as the top scorer for the tournament. Forward by Beardsley, and there's a good save by the goalkeeper from Steve Harkness, who tried to squeeze it underneath Pettersson's body. Harkness on the ball again now. All this happening with the team still down to 5 players owing to the banishment to the sin bin of the 2 number 5s, but they're coming back on now. There they go. Don Hutchison and David Preece. Well played by Kingsley Black. Now it's Dowie. Preece on the far side. Luton have brought Dreyer back on from the bench. Preece. Oh, a chance here for Black. Underside of the bar, they're appealing. Dowie gets up with the header. Referee says no goal. Kingsley Black's effort coming back off the underneath of the crossbar. Dreyer for Luton. Well, it's bubbling up into quite a good final, this. It's 1-0 to Luton Town. Farrell the scorer, and that's forward by Nicky Tanner. Jan Molby gets a foot in. No one else with him there for Liverpool at present. They've got Jones coming up now, number 2. And now Black. Julian James to John Dreyer, the Luton captain. Now Beardsley. First time ball meant for Molby. And Beardsley once more. Molby. Beardsley to his right. Jan Molby tries to go all the way. And those two really have put an awful lot into it tonight. Molby and Beardsley. The two recognised first teamers among the outfield players. Whereas Luton's team is also young, but probably with more league experience overall. Here's Elstrup, who's got international experience, of course. And this is Preece. We've got 2 Danish internationals out there in Elstrup and this man, Molby. Beardsley makes a darting run to his left. It's come to Jones. Harkness. Minute and a half left in the first half of the final. Luton Town lead Liverpool by 1-0. Scored by their number 6, Sean Farrell. And Jimmy Ryan, the manager, Dave Galley, the physio, on the far side. And John Faulkner nearest to us. That's the Luton management team. And they'll be pretty pleased with the way things are going so far. Number 8 is Elstrup. Now it's Preece. At the back there, Julian James. Beardsley gets the tackle in. Finds Molby. Now here's Harkness, Beardsley, Molby. Harkness. We're in the last 45 seconds of the first half. It's Peter Beardsley trying to find a way through for Liverpool. Molby may do so. Beardsley again, Molby. Richard Harvey over there, grappling with Beardsley. Eventually he beats him. Well, the use of substitutes, a very important part of Soccer 6. Beaumont's just come back on for Luton as they switch their players around. Preece. Farrell's still out there hunting for goals on his own up front for Luton. Beaumont. We're approaching half-time. And the score is 1-0 to Luton Town, thanks to number 6, 21-year-old Sean Farrell, who's made a bit of a name for himself tonight. And Kingsley Black came on for Liverpool to add some bite to their attack and see if he can find a way back into this final for them. He's wearing number 9, the Israeli international. Here's the Luton number 9, Kingsley Black. Beaumont. Dowie. It's well played. Dreyer looking for Farrell. It's Dreyer again. And it was Jones who intercepted. Barry Jones setting up Liverpool, but Rosenthal beaten by Beaumont. This is Black. Now are Luton going to continue to adapt to this surface that they know so well? Here's Dreyer. Oh, and Farrell, a second chance. Not this time. Or are Liverpool going to come strong in the second half, bearing in mind they had a longer rest than Luton? Here's Rosenthal after their last group match. Perhaps a sign of tiredness might creep in as the second half wears on. It's pretty hectic stuff out there, hence the number of substitutions. Dreyer. Dowie. And Luton, in fact, changing players over just about all the time now. Except for Farrell, who's still the main striker. Just as Rosenthal is for Liverpool. That's a 3-line ball. Struck from 1/3 of the field to the other defending third with the ball not bouncing or touching anybody in between. Jimmy Ryan out of a breather. It's going to be an indirect free kick. And again, Luton switching their players over. This is Richard Harvey. And Peter Beardsley's now back on for Liverpool. Luton lead by 1-0 in this Soccer 6 final. Harvey. Priest. Elstrup saw some space there. Oh, and Harvey. Elstrup! Yes, it's 2-0. It's 2-0 to Luton. Lars Elstrup. Jimmy Ryan's team have a good lead now. Elstrup, who scored 10 goals in senior football this season, now makes his mark in the six-a-side game. Well-worked move by Luton. And Liverpool have just over 5 minutes to do something about this. They're 2 down now. And Luton very much calling the shots. It's Elstrup again. Harvey. I think there were 1 or 2 smart investors who backed Luton before play started on Monday night, thinking that the artificial surface would be good for them for obvious reasons. It's working out that way. Here's Priest. Also, they've worked the substitution rule very cleverly, Luton, I've noticed. They're making far more changes than Liverpool. Just giving players a couple of minutes and then a breather. In it goes from James to Black. Back again to Harvey. Now it's Priest. And when you're 2 up, if you can keep possession, you are in charge. And Liverpool can't get the ball at the moment. Oh, well played again. It's Kingsley Black now. Oh, Julian James. Muggleton, no. Yes, he scored, James. He got a second bite at that, did Julian James. Muggleton couldn't steer the ball away, and Luton Town go 3-0 up here. James going round the goalkeeper and then still managed to turn the shot in. At the other end, Beardsley's gone close for Liverpool, but the score remains 3-0 to Luton. Farrell, Elstrup and James the scorers. Well, surely now with, 3.5 minutes to go, Luton have one hand on the Soccer 6 trophy. Molby for Liverpool. Number 6 is Russell Payne for Liverpool, 20 years old. Came from Skelmersdale. Now here's Beaumont for Luton. Oh, well played by Priest. He's got Farrell square and unmarked. Didn't need him. Well, it's all Luton now. David Priest reflecting just how well they've played and how much confidence they've shown. He had an option to his left, but as the goalkeeper went down, Priest just slotted the ball in himself to make it 4. Beardsley for Liverpool. And that's well over from Tony Cousins. So Priest takes his personal total for the tournament to 4. So along with Farrell and Cascarino, he's now the joint leading scorer. And here come Luton again with Richard Harvey. Just over 2.5 minutes left. 4-0. Mulby. And rather think Liverpool have done what they can, and it hasn't been enough because Luton are completely overwhelming them at the moment. This is Harvey. It's fast and accurate. The movement is excellent by Luton. It's the way Soccer 6 really should be played. It's a great exhibition. Dowie. And there's perhaps more to come here. Harvey. Just under 2 minutes left. 4-0. Luton lead Liverpool. Dowie. Beaumont. And Liverpool are just, well, walking around almost admiring it. They just can't get into it at all. James. Pity Liverpool didn't see fit to play 1 or 2 more senior men, because it would have made a much better final in terms of experience. Luton are absolutely strolling it. This is Dowie. Priest. James. Dowie. Oh, and Muggleton just got it out with its feet in the end. About a minute left. And Luton Town's name certain now to go on the Soccer 6 trophy. Jimmy Ryan, who kept them in the First Division last season, will see this as a prestigious performance. And also, financially, a very favourable result for Luton too, because they're going to win something in excess of £50,000 here altogether. Here's Priest. Rebound didn't quite favour Farrell. Good save by Muggleton. 30 seconds to go as Russell Payne makes a charge for Liverpool.
This built stadium at Adams Park, where a crowd of nearly 5,000 saw them beat Boston United in this first round replay. Mark West confirming his position as leading scorer for the 5th season running. His goals earned Wickham and their manager Martin O'Neill today's appetising home tie with Peterborough.
Wickham's famous cup history, because as you can see, this part of Buckinghamshire is absolutely snowbound, and there's a bit of a gale hurtling around me now as well. This has all happened, believe it or not, in the last hour and a half. When I got here about 10:30, the prospects seemed pretty good, but at midday the referee Jimmy Borrett from Suffolk decided that the safety of the players and the spectators would be threatened if he allowed the game to go ahead, and also he was concerned about lack of markings on the pitch. Consequently then, Wycombe Wanderers look to Wednesday evening at 7:45 here in their new £3 million Adams Park Stadium. It's a lovely ground, and I'm quite certain that when the game is played on Wednesday, Peterborough will still have their hands full, but I hope it's a bit warmer.
Gray through to Lorimer. Jones coming in, number 2.
Reedy. Yes! What a wonderful goal! Jones laying it on for Bates, and up front is Clark. He's not offside.
Gray held off. Lorimer's underneath it. In comes Jones.
You took.
Orange spray missed it, and Gibbs. Crawford got it. Gibbs. Crawford's there. And Simmons. 2-0 for Colchester. Crawford. And Lewis for Colchester.
And Simmons 1 against 1 here. Simmons and Reedy. And it's there!
Just after half-time and Colchester were 3 goals up. Ray Crawford had been involved in them all.
Jones. Giles.
Davis now takes the corner. Thomas again. And Grobbelaar saves. Merson can't get there. Did he go across the line? Yes. Arsenal have scored. Merson got that final touch. Into Smith. That might fall for Merson. It might fall for Limpar. Down he goes. That's a penalty. Lee Dixon. It's 2-0.
Truly, his progress has been this season has been sensational,
he's been
to say
around
the
a
least.
couple of years, hasn't he, Lee Sharp? But he certainly this month has made his.
After last month's 4-0 defeat by Switzerland, San Marino were hoping to salvage a little Group 2 pride in Bucharest. Romania had other ideas, though, and it took them just a minute to go ahead. The ball bobbling around in the box before Feyenoord's Jan Sabau popped up to fire into the corner. After 2 defeats, the home side were desperate for points and goals. They piled on the pressure and made it 2-0 after 18 minutes. 89 Golden Boot winner Doran Matut with a superb long-range effort. The third goal just before half-time owed everything to this brilliant run down the left, the cross eluding the San Marino keeper, and Radiceu on hand to apply the finishing touch. He won't score an easier one than that. Lots more goal action after the break. World Cup star Lakatouche at the centre of most of it. His brilliant free kick matched here by the volley from Bayer Leverkusen's Ionu Lupescu. 4-0 in the 57th minute. With the San Marino defence looking increasingly suspect, Romanian substitute Badia popped up with the 5th. A well-judged lob this time as the agony increased for the visitors' keeper. Lakatouche hadn't finished his night's work, though. Yet another pinpoint free kick, and this time it's Dan Păcescu who heads home to complete Romania's 6-0 victory. So 2 valuable points for them. Burnley are desperate.
Fletcher, a great shot! What a fantastic shot from Fletcher! Dave Thomas trying to get it over. And it's Dobson! And here's Casper to chase this one. It's a good shot. Oh, a brilliant...
Trophies, he's had to be. 20 years of leading by unique win to head Newcastle into a 17th minute lead and set off those unique Geordie celebrations. But within a minute, Leicester were back on level terms. A well-struck free kick from Gary Mills and defender Terry Fenwick getting his name on the score sheet. Mills was also the provider for Leicester's second. Irish international David Kelly sliding in to beat veteran keeper John Burridge. 2 second-half goals in the space of just 4 minutes looked to have killed off the Newcastle challenge. Australian-born David Oldfield claimed the first after deflecting Kelly's header over the line. The second came from the penalty spot. Not too many complaints from Newcastle as Roy Aitken was penalised for bringing down Paul Reed. Kelly showing how a penalty should be taken, with a shot giving Burridge little chance. 4-1 then to Leicester at this stage, but Newcastle's never-say-die spirit was very much in evidence as they fought back. Quinn grabbed his second goal with this perfectly flighted lob after spotting Hooper off his line. And a Liam O'Brien header cut the deficit to just 1 goal when he connected with a near-post flick-on. With Newcastle now desperately searching for an equaliser, a rare mistake from Roy Aitken finally put the game beyond them. Kelly in the clear to claim his hat-trick and restore his side's 2-goal cushion. There was just time for Quinn to complete his own hat-trick. Suspicions of both offside and handball, but referee Alcock allowed the goal to stand despite the protest from Leicester.
Desperate night.
It's a desperate pitch, isn't it? Look at it. Oh, here we go. Joe Jagani scores the first one after 4 minutes in. And didn't the crowd roar? Or did they not? And this is sort of bubbling about all over the place.
Dearie me.
Oh, hello. Could have been an handball there. But this is all after 19 minutes, and Andy Mocker finally scores the goal.
So Scarborough 2 up.
Lovely, lovely pitch there. Oh, look, and it goes, it creeps over the line, 23rd minute, Steve Richards, 3 zilch. How about that? Oh, and another, it's a touch of the horrors for the keepers, isn't it?
Well, it was I have to say, Jim, it was a terrible night for goalkeepers.
Oh, it was.
Freezing
Look
cold,
at it. I mean,
sleet and snow, the whole thing.
It is. That's Chris Armstrong, that was, scoring that one. And the keeper's in trouble again here. He pulls him down.
That young Matt Morris, who,
That's right.
who had done well in the European games that they played.
Well, this obviously didn't suit him, this. Garni scores from the penalty. 4-1 at half-time. And then it decides to rain to soften the pitch a bit. And Jeff Hunter gets a consolation
himself. But a good striking partnership developing between Swan and Payton, and the ex-Leeds man was in the right place at the right time. It's virtually the first chance that Hull have had. Thompson slid it through. Payton always willing to have a whack. He put some spin on the shot as well. And he's certainly finishing just as crisply. Perfect timing for a goal. As the electronic scoreboard was showing that it was half-time here at Boothbury Park, Andy Payton gets his 14th of the season. It was a lovely ball played to him by Lee Palin, and Payton hardly ever misses those. And he makes it 2-0, and the whistle should sound for half-time any second now. He's run so well and kept his nerve. It's Swan's second of the day, Hull's third. The ball there from Hockaday, catching Blackburn totally square. Peter Swan running on, and Grew sent... He can hit a ball, so they might tee it up for him. Wilcox is the man over it. His Hull are sent back by referee Jones. It's going to be Richardson, and now it is Atkins who powers forward, hits the shot in and scores. An excellent goal from Mark Atkins. The former Scunthorpe man gets a lot from the full-back position. He knew exactly where he wanted the ball.
Snowbound, but it was cold, wet and miserable. The fans needed a good game to warm them up, and they got one. Brian McClare sent away by Hughes for Manchester United. Wallace, Hughes again, and blocked by Chris White. Credit to Hughes, who made 60 yards after starting the move. United still pressing. Wallace again, and Lukic in the way. John Lukic, of course, one of 3 Leeds players in the England B team on their way to Algeria this week. There's Gordon Strachan, who did well on his return to his old club. David Batty, another England B player this week. And a chance for Carl Shutt away from the defence, and Seeley down comfortably enough. United had plenty of pressure in the first half. There's Lee Sharp getting a touch. Batty losing possession, and it proved costly. Sharp again, the man who got 4 goals in 2 games last week, beating both Batty and Sterland, 2 England B players. And the ball comes out to Neil Webb, doesn't really hit it right, but the deflection of Gary McAllister. Just what the United contingent among the 41,000 had been hoping for. Down came the snow, back came Leeds. Mel Sterland. Mel says he's been waiting 10 games for that. He'll have been unbearable on the team coach driving home. It wasn't the end of the entertainment, far from it. From Strachan's corner, McAllister's mistake. Not his day, really, though he was involved in distracting United's war for Sterland's free kick. McClare streaking away. And Wallace. And Leeds didn't look all that happy with a pacey, confident striker ready to run at them. Lukic, though, got a touch, did well. Then, with 20 minutes left, the moment the Old Trafford faithful had been waiting for since August. Brian Robson's first Football League appearance of the season. Proving his fitness, he hopes to lead that England B team in Algeria. He'll play at the back there. Here he got involved in the Leeds penalty area. Blackmore, Webb, and Webb finding his former England colleague with some space in the penalty area. Wallace beyond the far post, but Haddock with a vital touch. McAllister, and just as we'd seen United do, Leeds too were willing and able to turn defence into attack in a few devastating seconds. Watch the role of Carl Shutt here, sending speed down the left, and Shutt continues the run, and as the header comes out from McAllister, there's Shutt with a shot. A move of speed and excitement that summed up the match neatly, and the result meant at least no one went home frozen and defeated. Just frozen. United won, Leeds won. which means Leeds edge a point closer to Crystal Palace, who lost to a late goal at Chelsea. A Luton equaliser denied Arsenal the chance to overtake Liverpool, who was snowed off at Nottingham Forest. There was some good news for Sheffield United. Southampton, Coventry and Queen's Park Rangers all lost. Will next weekend bring the Blades' first win? If it does, it'll be the result of the season. They're at Anfield.
Sheffield Wednesday had gone west in search of vital promotion points, and being a West Country boy, no one was keener to impress than Trevor Francis. His lovely pass sent David Hurst scampering towards the Bristol City goal. Then an intelligent delay while support arrived, and it was Danny Wilson timing it to perfection for a goal to make up for all those recent near misses. That was in 6 minutes, too early for 12 coachloads of fans stranded on the motorways. Some of them, though, did arrive in time for City's equaliser. David Smith going down the left, whipping in the cross, and unfortunately for Wednesday, Peter Shirtliff left his own goalkeeper Kevin Pressman clutching thin air. The blizzard had arrived at Ashton Gate with a vengeance, but it didn't knock Wednesday out of their stride, and after another sweeping move, again involving the impressive Hurst, Wilson was there only for the shot to skid the wrong side of the upright. Bristol, under the management of Joe Jordan and now Jimmy Lumsden, is a home for Yorkshire Old Boys. There were 8 of them in yesterday's lineup. And former Huddersfield winger Junior Bent made the running for ex-Leeds striker Bob Taylor, whose first touch let him down. Bristol City 1, Sheffield Wednesday 1.
Well, now a chance for you to check on the form of one of Wednesday's promotion rivals, West Ham, playing in white and under considerable pressure from a Portsmouth team who hadn't won in 8 games. Colin Clark eventually teeing up a shot here for Guy Butters, but Ludek Mikloško, the Czech goalkeeper, was in superb form. The only goal was neatly worked, Slater's 1-2 with McAvenny, and Trevor Morley's 9th of the season. The second division leaders on their way to their 4th 1-0 win in their last 5 away league games. Form that suggests not only the ability to grab quality goals on the break, but to defend well too. And this time it was Mikloško who was definitely their hero in that area. Guy Whittingham's header would have beaten most keepers. Portsmouth 0, West Ham 1. The Hammers now unbeaten in 20 matches and 5 points clear of Oldham, who didn't play. Wednesday's points lift them back above snowbound Middlesbrough into 3rd place. Barnsley were also inactive but stay 8th because Ipswich only drew at home. Hull have overtaken 4 teams, 3 didn't play and Portsmouth, as we saw, lost. At the very bottom, good news at last for Steve Perryman's Watford, their first home win of the season, 2-0 over Plymouth.
Of the 7 teams in our region who should have been playing in the FA Cup, only Scunthorpe got a game, and they won it too, beating Tranmere Rovers 3-2. Here are this week's rearranged games. Huddersfield play Blackpool at Leeds Road tomorrow, snow permitting. On Tuesday, 3 choices. Chesterfield entertain Bolton, Mansfield play York City at Field Mill, and at Millmore it's Rotherham United against Halifax. The draw for the 3rd round goes ahead tonight, and with so many clubs still in, the FA are using not a velvet bag, but a sack. Christmas must be on the way.
13 shopping days to go. As our early present, we'd hoped to bring you good news from Bramall Lane. Thanks to all our outside broadcast team who moved in record time from this to this to bring you good news from Boothbury Park instead. We're back next Sunday. It'll be warmer then, won't it? Sheffield United enough trouble. Colin Hill here, grateful that Simon Tracy was alert. If the Carpet expected a massacre, they were disappointed. Indeed, they almost had a close-up view of a United goal from Ian Bryson, with Grobbelaar hopelessly flat-footed. It appeared after the break as though 1 or 2 choice words had emerged from between the tightly pursed lips of Kenny Dalglish. Rush was soon bringing the very best out of Tracy. Finally, on 62 minutes, United cracked, McMahon sending Beardsley away and arriving with the devastating effect that makes him a target all over Europe, John Barnes. The goal that sealed United's 16th game without a win, equalling the worst start to a season, followed Burrow's cross from right on the goal line. Tracy seems to think the ball had gone out. Liverpool play to the whistle, and Beardsley's present to Rush is tinsel-wrapped. Liverpool 2, Sheffield United 0. So Liverpool are now 4 clear at the top with a game in hand over Arsenal, who were held at home by Wimbledon. Leeds will go 4th today if they beat Everton and Crystal Palace lose against Luton. Sheffield United's position is as desperate as ever, but they try again for that first win at home to Nottingham Forest on Saturday. And you know, strange things can happen just before Christmas.
Into the 2nd division now, and on paper, Notts County against Hull City in pale green looked like a home banker in view of Hull's depressing away record. But ex-Tiger Charlie Palmer didn't help his side's cause with this challenge on Les Thompson. Referee Pooley saw it all, and we can see it again too. It's not just the challenge on Thompson, but watch for the stamping now. And as a result of that, Palmer saw red. County's first goal, 9 minutes before half-time, had a touch of the bizarre about it too.